your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Chrissie is hilarious.
Chrissie, have you ever heard of the comedian Basha K. Ali?
No, that sounds like something you yell out before you blow up a plane.
Basha K. Ali!
30 seconds remaining.
But you know what good thing to say? I dabbled in stand-up or something. I have no disrespect for you at all.
I was very confused by the title, Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that's also what we call it when Ash takes off his shirt. I shouldn't be up here. I should be in school on the other side of the ocean. Well, hello, boys and girls. Am I centered? I'm not centered. Welcome. Is this a Chrissie Mayr podcast? No. This is going to be, look, I never could have guessed that my content would have taken this turn into the land of Greg Opie Hughes, but here we are, and I find him highly engaging, entertaining. I'm entranced by him, and I will be interviewing him. Make no mistake. It is my life's goal now to wear him down. I'm going to wear you down, Greg. I will have you. You will be mine. I will interview you. It's going to happen. So I'm manifesting it right now. This is my 2025 manifestation. In order to prepare for this interview, I'm going to familiarize myself with all pertinent Opie lore. Now, many people have requested that I watch and comment on this clip that we're about to watch together. Now, some of you in the chat may be more knowledgeable about this stuff than me. And you know what? In fact, I hope you are, because you can fill in some of the holes that I leave behind ASMR. Yeah. I'm just going to give you a gentle nighttime Chrissie voice. I am losing my voice a little bit. I think I didn't quite catch a cold from the plane back from LA. Who knows? Maybe it was the dude from Denmark puking next to me. I don't know. Maybe it's from just not sleeping. I am. I'm going to form my own Opie verse. It's Dabbleverse adjacent. Yes. Leave it alone. Nut meat. It's too late. Look, you've read the title of the stream. If you're not interested in this, go. I don't know. Go watch Mr. Beast. Oh, yes, can we please get Chris Baldessano in the chat? I'm going to send him a link. He's somebody who knows about the Opie and Anthony lore. Chris Baldessano. I'm going to find him and send him the link. I think he was doing like a karaoke stream. Whatever it was, it's not more important than this. Okay. Sent to Chris the link. I can't believe the baby turns 1 in 2 weeks. I cannot process how fast time has gone. Leave it alone. Just leave it alone. The Copyverse. Do we like the name Copyverse for this? Do we like Opieverse? We'll think of a name. If Chrissie can make it through this fight, we will do we'll do one with the Leave It Alone. This is a long. I should have started this on time because this is quite the fight. Okay, a little pretext for this. This is Opie and Jim Norton. This is an epic on-air confrontation from December 1st, 2015. I believe Anthony Cumia was fired from O&A July 1st, 2014. So this is like 6 months, not even, after the fact. So I think, how long was O&A together for? was it 7 years? And then Opie and Jim together about 2 years. When O&A broke off, it became Opie. It became, obviously, Anthony founded Compound Media just a few months later. Then it was Opie and Jim for 2 years. Then when they split apart, it was Jim and Sam. They were together, I believe, 9 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. And now it's and then it was Opie Radio, and now it's Opie Unleashed. Oh yes, of course. Before we get into this, guys, come see your girl in Fort Wayne, Indiana this weekend. I'm pulling it up right now. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. March 29th, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Fort Wayne Comedy Club. Come see me. April 1st, Hartford, Connecticut with Jimmy Dore. May 17th, Jazz on Main in Mount Kisco. August 8th and 9th, The Brokerage on Long Island. October 18th, Crackpots Comedy Club in Massillon, Ohio. Just a few little shows. Look, I'm a busy mom. And even though the Bean is 1 year old and I thought that he would have a full-time job by now and be completely on his own, I am mistaken. He is still very much a baby. So we're going to do shows here and there where we can. Okay. La 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 la. How the F did Ant carry that talentless lumps? I've seen Anthony carry many talentless lumps. And by that I mean like not co-hosts. He's had good co-hosts, but guests. I've watched the show where he's had just absolutely nothing of guests, and he's able to spin the plates and make it look entertaining. That's what a true professional does, and that's what Anthony is. I don't know if we can say the same for the Opster here. So this is crucial lore. God, it's an hour and 42 minutes. Who knows if we'll get through it. We'll try. Opie can be funny, but he's stuck in his own head. Oh yeah, he is for sure his own worst enemy. I wonder if he's ever gone to therapy. I mean, I know therapy is gay, but he doesn't seem like a man who's done much self-reflection.
To the surface yesterday. So why was religion evil in your house?
Oh, by the way, I went to see your friend Anthony yesterday.
That's all right.
Oh, so
my God.
so get your popcorn. I guess I missed the intro on this. Esther Koo. I know Esther Koo. She's like a darling, sweet comic. I've done shows with her before in Florida. She is the guest on this episode, and from what I've heard already, it's like it is so not about her. It is very much about their drama, because I get it. It like just happened. They just had a sort of like, fight about this. And the thing is that Jim wants to hash it out and move along, but Opie just doesn't. He, as you'll hear, he thinks he's better than Jim. He thinks he's better than everybody else. He thinks he's like highfalutin. And they just leave Esther kind of in the dust here, guest wise. Just an unfortunate time for her to be on.
And that was so much fun.
Okay.
Can I say that?
Of course.
Okay.
It would help you'd say that.
Oh, okay, good. No, it helps because
He's a delightful man.
well, first of all, it's just later in the day.
Right.
Which helps is I just have more energy later.
You were fine on our show?
Was
All right.
it just you two, or
Yeah,
did you have other people there?
It was us two and then Ralph Sutton.
What did you talk about?
Why wouldn't it
That
be
was
fine?
Huh?
Why wouldn't it be fine?
No. Of course it would be fine. It was great.
No, you were asking me. Why wouldn't it be fine?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry.
Oh.
he's
Part of your
already
reaction.
nervous.
Huh?
You might have thought you reacted.
How did I react?
He should have said, "You can talk. You're our guest. You can talk about whatever you like, including Anthony." But since Opie is eternally butthurt, he can't say that.
I didn't even react.
No, you didn't react.
We talked about it yesterday. I said, it was fine. We don't talk, but I don't care if people do a show.
right.
So anyway,
Are you
religion
guys
thing-
going to talk at the benefit?
No, not at all. He's done some really shitty things. No, now I'm pissed. No, it goes really deep. The stuff I've found out recently. No, I'm not talking to him, and I won't be in the same room as him. No.
Won't be in the same room.
Do you know any of the stuff that he's done lately? Okay, fair enough. No, I'm not. So he can put that aside, that rumor that we might talk. No. The shit I found out recently, no. No, I'll never be in the same room as that fucking guy.
But will he say what it is that he found out? Oh, no. Opster wants to keep everybody in suspense because he wants to feel like he is cool and he's got the inside scoop.
You don't have to be, you know?
I know what you're talking about.
That's fine. Like I said, I'm not putting you in the middle of it, but if you don't know, you don't know. That's fine.
You don't know, you don't know.
Sorry, I don't know.
Real shitty stuff,
You don't know.
to be honest with you. Extremely shitty stuff.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Ugh.
And people are confused. Whoa, you threw him under the bus. No, I never threw Anthony under the bus. Trust me.
Vague.
But he made it very obvious that it was time to move on. Extremely obvious.
But what?
I'm
The
sorry.
things I wondered about now, I know as true. So no.
How do you know they're true? I'm not saying they're not. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Nobody knows what
leaving
you're
you out of
talking
it.
about.
Simple as that. And I'll never talk to you about it.
You'll never tell me?
Like, you do a radio show with somebody, you spend hours a day, every day with this person. You kind of become like office, not spouses. I don't want to say it's like your work husband or work wife, but you become, if you want to have a good show, I think you have to become like pretty close, or at least not keep secrets, show related secrets from each other. And here's Greg. I'm never going to tell you this. Okay, Jim's like, fuck me, you know. Way to just make it harder on your co-host. You got to dig for every little thing just to have a cohesive story, just for the listener.
No, no. Yeah, see, no. Getting a lot of people shaking their heads. No,
Why won't you tell me?
I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't feel like we're that close in that way. No, I'm not telling you.
We're not that close. Okay. This is not like your dick size. This is a very pertinent. This is your feelings about Anthony, the co-host. Jim is essentially the third mic on this show, and they've now lost a third of their show. The dynamic is recalibrating. It's awkward. They're figuring out, like, do we even, how much longer are we going to last just together, you and I? And he's like, I'll just never tell you. We're not that close. Fuck you, dude.
Anyway. Hi, Esther.
Hi. Sorry I brought that up.
What?
That's not your fault that we're not that close.
She feels awful
that's not your
being
fault.
there. Oh, hi. I'm a little bigger now.
What's going on?
Nothing much. What's going on with you?
Nothing much. Just sitting here awkwardly.
Actually good in general. Anyway, so what religion were you growing up?
It was Christian evangelical.
What is that?
They're like, they try to recruit people. Like, they would always go fishing.
Well, they weren't the ones that shaved their heads.
No, they just like went to college campuses and like preyed on vulnerable, insecure kids, and would recruit them and bring them to the church.
Right.
And so they were always just like, out shopping for new recruits.
Right.
Which is like, you don't want that in a religion, right?
They could not.
Where would they go to try to find new members?
Less interested.
They would go to college campuses.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And your parents were into this?
Yeah.
Huh.
I would go.
What do you mean?
I would go as a high school kid to college campuses and like,
so they
talk to people and be like,
so they wanted you to recruit people.
Yeah.
Your parents made you do this?
The church made me do this. Yeah.
Oh, so you turned away from religion.
Right.
Ah, I got it. Was that a problem with you and your parents?
Yeah. Yeah, because they were super into it,
Right.
So
Opie could not be less
let's go.
interested. He's so distracted by everything that's not being said. He's so distracted by what's on his mind. He's like, really? Just being the most boring, awful interviewer, the most unsupportive host. Job of a host is supposed to make your guest look good, feel comfortable, sound funny. And he's just like, one word answers out of Ope because he just can't handle it.
Weird.
Well, it just got weird because I'm asking you something. You're like, we're not that close like that, which is fine. But
yeah.
Oh, we're
and
not.
Jim's not
we
gonna
do a
like
good show together.
pretend. He's like, I'm not just gonna move on and talk about Esther Koo's evangelical Christian upbringing. He's like, what the fuck? You just told me we're not that close. That's that sucks. That's very shitty to hear. Very shitty thing to say to your co-host.
Other stuff, but we're not that close.
So now you're mad at me for something?
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. We're not close yet. What? This is a surprise to you? We're not close.
Ugh.
We do a good show together. It's okay.
Anything to say.
Don't say ugh.
I'm going to say ugh.
Don't say ugh. You know everything has been going on. You don't.
No, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about. You're saying something that I don't know, and you're acting
That's
like
fine.
I do know.
That's all right. And
You are acting like I
He
do know.
loves
No,
that.
I said I was surprised you
You're
don't.
that conspiratorial
I
tone.
was surprised you don't know.
But I don't.
I believe you. For real. For real. I do believe you. Okay?
And it's not a matter of being close. Like, it's just this weird paranoia thing. It's like, what's going? If there's something going on,
There's no paranoia, but there's none. I believe you. If you tell me you don't know some of the real dirty shit he did over the years, that's fine.
I have
That's
no
fine.
idea.
I believe you. I really do. But it does make me very upset. Okay? But I do believe you.
It's like, oh, it's just
All right.
it's just too much to possibly tell you. You'll have to just go and figure it out yourself.
I believe you. Not happy. I believe you though. Okay. You've been in the middle of this, for a long time, so I try to keep you out of it. You do both shows and all that.
Yes.
I don't say a word about it.
No.
And if you say you don't know, then fine. I believe you. Okay.
Yeah, no, I really don't know, and I don't feel like I need to. I know you're not asking me to prove I don't know, and I don't feel like I need to prove. I said I know that.
I really do believe you.
I
No, he
know.
doesn't.
Okay.
I know you do. I don't feel like you don't. I don't feel disbelieved.
Right.
But if somebody that to me, that you don't need to be close to somebody. If somebody says, I'm not saying like, why don't you think we're close? I don't give a shit about that. But if I say to you, what's going on? I don't think it requires us to be in love with each other for you to say off the air, like, this is what's been happening. I don't think that's an issue of closeness.
I've told you some of the stuff, and we've talked about some of the stuff.
No, it's not closeness. He's extremely insecure that everyone likes Anthony better than him. Yikes. Because he deep down knows that Anthony is a million times more talented, funny, easier to be friends with, as you can tell by everyone he's maintained a relationship with over the years.
But I got more info and stuff, and I'm just blown away by it, to be honest with you. So, blown away.
You say odd shit to people, dude. You're a good guy.
Whatever.
But you say odd shit to people. Like what? Like that. Like
it's
what?
cryptic.
Like that.
Very cryptic.
Because we're not close, so why would I tell you?
Because
it's not close.
So shitty.
Who are you close with?
Get
Like what
close.
constitutes close
I
to
don't need to
you?
tell you who I'm close with. I got my people that I'm close to.
All right.
All right.
I'm sure you.
I've made a decision not to involve you in all this crap because you are in the middle.
I don't
You're
feel.
absolutely in the middle.
I don't feel in the middle.
Whatever.
He's
Okay.
putting him in the middle.
I don't feel in the middle.
Fair enough.
But I'm sure you think that somehow I'm against you. I'm sure. I'm positive.
I didn't say that.
You don't have to.
I didn't say that.
I know. It's everybody else. I got it.
Mm.
What? No, I took responsibility for
No,
my
I know.
stuff, too.
I know. I sit here every day.
I
You're
did.
right.
I did.
Cool.
But other people need to take responsibility too. Okay?
Yes.
All right?
Like who?
I'm not the only one that needs to take responsibility. It gets ridiculous after a while. He did some really shitty things.
Like
And
what?
some of the stuff I found out
Name
recently is
one thing.
it blows my mind. It blows my mind. So no, I will not be in the same room as him anytime soon.
So you're not going to the Patrice benefit?
I got to figure it out.
Mm. That's
Got to
shitty.
figure it out. So anyway,
Awkward. So
Whatever,
awkward.
man.
At least have this kind of
What?
a conversation
What?
off air. Like if you really want to be a CUNT about it, but it's like your people are listening. What is Jim supposed to do with this now?
Whatever. It's always uncomfortable. It's always uncomfortable.
Then you don't have to be here. Why are you here? If it's so uncomfortable, why are you here? Explain that to me. Why are you here then?
Because
If
I
it's so
like
uncomfortable.
performing.
Why are you
And this is my
here?
job.
So you could perform
Why
in
are
other
you-
ways. You could have
Why
your
are
own
you
show
here?
here. You could do a million
No, I
things.
can't have my own
But
show.
why
here.
would you walk into an uncomfortable?
Why are you here? Why don't you just go be with Anthony? Just go be with him.
Situation every day if it's uncomfortable?
Why don't you ask yourself that too?
I'm fine.
You're
I'm
not
happy.
fine.
I'm happy.
I didn't say I wasn't happy, but you're not fine.
I'm fine.
Okay.
You don't know the first thing about me. I'm fine.
I know. I don't know you. I've been working with you 15 years. You're right. I don't know anything about you.
You don't
Come
know
on.
what. You don't know.
Wow.
You're right. No, I know nothing about you. You're right.
You don't
I
know a
stand
lot about
corrected.
me.
You're right.
He's being
No,
very
you don't.
Guys, is this a real fight?
Huh?
It's a bickering.
Do you fake it for the radio?
No.
Oh God.
No.
No. You've been told not to talk about it.
You've been told not to talk about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real
Late.
serious shit. Yeah.
But I don't. What? But what? Me and you not fucking like what?
Mm-mm.
So he's so annoying. Oh my God, he's impossible to work with.
So I'll do this till October, and then you can get a new partner, and I'll move on. I'm not going to quit my fucking job. This is my gig.
I didn't say you should quit, but if you're not comfortable here, then that's on you, not me.
He sounds like the guy who doesn't want to break up with his girlfriend, but is going to be so shitty to a point where the girl is just like, "Fuck it, I'm out of here." You really are acting like you don't want to be in this relationship anymore. But he won't pull the trigger himself, but he'll just make it absolutely horrible conditions for the other person.
I'm comfortable here.
You're not always comfortable.
I'm comfortable
You
here.
can't even look at me half the time. I'm doing Uncle Paul. You're literally looking into the monitor like, I wish this guy would just go away.
I'm not a fan of Uncle Paul. You know that. We've talked about it. Whatever. But you're not a fan of some of the stuff I talk about either. So it's just what it is.
But I don't stare into a monitor like I'm being molested when you're
you
doing
stare
it.
into your phone or completely ignore me. I mean, it happens all the time.
But believe it or not,
it happens
Oh
all the
my
time. If you're not
God.
into what I
Like Jim was just saying, he's just opening up and saying, like, here are the things you do that make me feel like that make my job harder. And then Opie just immediately makes it about him. It's like he can't acknowledge anything. He can never be wrong. Nothing is ever his fault.
I'm saying, you completely ignore me. Are you kidding me? Do you really want to have this conversation?
Yes, I do.
You sit there and go on your phone and completely ignore me.
But
I
I
feel
can-
like I'm talking to a wall.
I know you do, but not realizing that I can look at my phone and I can also participate in discussion. I know how to talk as well.
Nah, you tap out. You completely tap out on things. You know that.
Maybe if we're talking about something and you just automatically switch the subject because you don't want to talk about it, maybe then.
No, it's a tough spot to be in. Sometimes they just.
No, I know. I don't know how to talk. I'm talking before.
No, I'm just saying. What talking about before? What happened
Like we're
before?
talking about Sydney Party. We're just doing something. I'm talking about something, and then all of a sudden it's like, so Trump. And it's like, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you with my personal life. Like you just.
Wow, you're crazy. You're literally crazy.
How is that crazy?
That bit was fine. What I
But you
thought.
just-
He's calling. He is, and this term gets thrown around so much, but Opie is truly a gaslighter.
You're
point is,
crazy.
That's not crazy.
That
You
was
walk
the,
away from
that was the
things.
bit of the day, and then it felt like where I sit, it was time to move on. So we moved on to the
But
Trump.
that's not people having a discussion. I know what you're saying.
And
dude.
if it wasn't, then I'm sorry, but
I know
there
what
was
you're
some good
saying.
shit there.
I know what you're saying, but it's not always okay. Trump. It's like we're just having a discussion about something. It just feels unnatural to jump into something else.
Well, that's what you do with radio. You move on to other things, I guess.
I guess.
I wasn't cutting you off. That we got good material out of that. I didn't know you were done.
I know, but we're just all talking about something and we're just jumping to something. But you're saying, why do I tap out on my phone? I didn't know what to say about Trump. Like, what's I going to say about him?
It's a huge story.
I know, dude. I talk about it on stage every night. I know.
All right.
I know it's a big story.
But the Portier thing, I thought we were done. That's all. I didn't cut you. I didn't feel like I was cutting you off. And if I did, I apologize. But we got great stuff out of it. The feedback on it was wonderful.
And you're asking me, why do I come here if I'm uncomfortable? Well, if you don't trust me with stuff, why are you on the air with somebody you don't trust?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say it in no, that's more that's
or not that close to. Why are you doing radio every day with somebody who you just genuinely don't like that much?
I didn't say I didn't like you.
That is the same
I didn't
thing.
say I
That's
didn't
exactly
like you.
what
Now
he's saying.
You're going far with
He's
that
saying
shit.
he's saying we're not close. I'm not going to tell you stuff because we're not close.
We both,
I think
like I said, day one, we were both put into a horrendous situation, a weird situation. I do like you, Jimmy. Okay. And in general, I have a good time in here. In general, I've had more fun doing radio than I've had in years in here. Okay.
I
Well,
think
that's the
everybody's
truth.
feelings are just hurt.
No, I don't feel.
No.
I don't feel like my feelings are hurt.
No, just
I don't feel
Opie's.
wounded by that.
Just
I'm not like,
Opie's.
oh, how could you? It's like, what do you think if you tell me something that happened that I'm not involved with, but it's still a part of the whole story here? Because what happens is when you do stuff like that, like I asked,
I wasn't even going to say anything.
That's the point I'm making.
But I wasn't.
That's the point. Dude, let me finish, please. That's the point I'm making.
Go ahead.
When you said, when she said I was on Anthony's, you did react. You didn't react like fuck him. You reacted like it was a noticeable thing. Whatever it was.
Because we talked about it yesterday. I don't know why it was brought up again today.
She felt it and I felt it.
That's fine.
So it's a real reaction.
Right.
So don't say that you're not, like, you do react to it. So then the next reaction is, okay, why are you reacting that way? I thought everything was kind of mellow, and then I hear he's gonna be at the Patrice bath. I'm like, oh, I wonder if you guys are just gonna chat. So I asked the natural question.
I'm not chatting with him.
Okay, but you come back with, no, this other stuff happened, like, which I don't know about.
Which I was keeping between, me and a few people I trust, and
right. So you actually think I'm gonna go in and say it on the air or go back and tell somebody?
He doesn't. I don't trust you, Jim. I'm not that close with you. It's like these aren't things that make it easy to do a show with you.
I didn't say that.
You said me and a few people I trust.
Yeah, I got people I trust in my life. Yes, and I talk to a lot. I talk to a lot.
Okay.
Poor Esther.
We don't talk a lot. Off air.
I'm not saying we do, or that we should, or that we will.
Oh my
this
God,
has just become what it is, and it's nice. And
we have a very special guest, and I'm embarrassed that he's been behind bars, behind the scene. I had no idea he was in the waiting room. He's here, and I'm so excited because he's going to be absolutely an asset. As he was an O&A fan, like when the show was actually going on, whereas I'm just here catching up. Welcome, my dear friend, a karaoke legend. He's so many things to so many people. Mr. Chris Baldessano. Oh, look how small you are. Hi, Chris.
Oh my God. That intro. I can't live up to that intro. Oh, how are you doing, Chrissy? How are you?
Are you sitting on a beanbag chair? What is that chair?
This is I'm on vacation in North Carolina at my father-in-law's house.
Ooh.
And I just finished a stream myself. I did my YouTube show, and I was doing it from this really nice, comfortable lazy boy.
I was watching it, and I was like, I hope he finishes soon and jumps on mine.
Thank you so much for the invite. This is sort of unusual because I'm used to sending you money to have to chat to you on the super chat line. So this is.
I'm gonna refund every dollar.
Oh no, you're more than worth it. Please.
Are you familiar with this fight here that we're listening to?
I think everybody is familiar with it. And funny, as you said that you weren't a fan back in the day, during this time when Jimmy and Opie had this falling out, I wasn't a listener to the show either. I was a listener to O&A back when they were on WNEW before Sirius XM. When they went to satellite, I didn't follow them because I didn't want to spend the money on freaking radio.
Mm-hmm.
But I caught all of these bits and pieces over the years from YouTube, from what I used to call Radio Underground. And yes, I remember this vividly. And I got a whole thing about Opie, and I've talked to Anthony about it many times. He agrees with my take on it. Everybody is children in this, but the problem with Opie, and this is where I feel kind of sad for the guy, from my perspective anyway. Back when Anthony got fired and Opie and Jim took over the show, Anthony was brilliant enough to do something before he got fired, where he was doing shows and streams from his house in Roslyn. He used to call it Live from the Compound, which now is the basis of what we're sitting here doing today. Joe Rogan's podcast, all of this. He really started and was the main influence for all of this. And Opie knows that. So once that took off, Opie got left in a position where he was like, ooh, I can't do that now, because if I do it, I'm now going to get compared to Anthony. And once Anthony created Compound Media, it was all over.
Wow.
Way too late. He would have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Hammered, basically. Oh, you're a hack. You're catching up to Anthony's and
wow.
etc. And it made him really, really angry. And you could see it. Opie gave up. He sat back on the money he made from XM.
And it's been 11 years now of him dealing with this feeling.
Yes, it's just festering. And I think now he probably reached a point, again, this is just opinion, and I never met Opie. Never met him once. But just from the outside looking in, you could see how he's gotten to a point in his life now where he's tired of sitting on his ass and doing nothing. He
But he's
knows
so
that
good at it.
look, the guy has talent in one aspect. I will
Does
never
he?
say he cannot. Yeah, he can go on to any radio station right now and spin records, become a DJ. He's done it before.
Okay.
I'm sure he can go and do that. He cannot do comedy. Comedy is not his thing. And that is where this whole breakup, the whole split with Anthony, with Jimmy against him happened. When he brought Anthony in to his show, and all of a sudden he realized, oh crap, people are liking and laughing to what Anthony says more than me. Put yourself in his shoes. It's going to make you pretty, like, oh man, I've just lost.
But
This
it's
was
not like
my
he
gig.
did comedy. It's not like he ever tried to be a funny person.
No, but the comedy that Anthony and then subsequently Jimmy brought in so overshadowed anything that Opie brought to the table. He could have just went and crawled up in the corner in the fetal position, and those two could have ran the show, and nobody would have even noticed. Because Opie was like jaybreaking, when you hear the trucks on the highway going.
Oh, I thought that was like a Jewish anti-Semitic.
Yeah, so he would just the show would stop. He would stop all the fun, and he became like a disgruntled uncle to it.
Wow.
And everybody saw that. He knew it, and it was a 600-pound elephant in the room. And when Anthony got fired and it was left with just Jimmy, now all of a sudden you have an actual stand-up comic, a professional comic like yourself, in a room with a non-professional comic trying to mix and match and make that work.
And then there's like this huge, Anthony-sized hole that neither of them can fill.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. It was cringy, but it did make for great listening radio because everybody was like, ooh, you got to listen. These two are fighting on air. It was really awkward. I felt horrible for Jimmy. And like I said, I feel bad in a way for Opie. I don't hate Opie. I have no ill will towards the guy. I wish he would have got up and done something to better himself, use his talent in some way that, all this wouldn't exist. And I still say maybe one day down the road, and I've done funny memes about it on Twitter, maybe one day Opie and Anthony will have some kind of reunion when they're 80 years old and about to suck down some Jello when the old folks home. Maybe they'll come back and they'll reunite and for the greater good. But a little bit harder now that Anthony's put out a couple books about it. So yeah.
But you know what? Opie talks a lot of shit about Anthony all the time. So it's not like he's just such a bigger person.
Yeah. Oh, why do we gotta talk about Anthony all the time? I'm out here. I'm in the beach. I'm having my coffee. It's 5 a.m. and
why do we always have to talk about Anthony?
Yeah, God, what can you say? The whole everybody in this whole podcasting universe now, everybody's a child. Everybody's a child. From the fights with John and Brennan and Opie, and it just never ends. And that's where all this content is coming from. Everybody's now doing a show, sniping everybody else and commenting about what they're talking about. And then somebody's got to do a show to comment about the commenter about the commenter. It just goes on forever. But
it's like a human centipede.
Yes, exactly. And as long as these people keep going, quote unquote, bad shit, it's never going to end, and there'll be shows forever about it. And hey, look, more power to you. If you can run a 2-hour show based off the stupid stuff that these guys talk about, then
it's too bad that his insecurity has really been like his biggest speed bump here, because it's like nobody was looking to Opie to be the funny one. No one was expecting him to have the one-liners, the singers, to be as sharp as Anthony and Jimmy. So
you're exactly right. You're exactly
he doesn't have to be like them. Just be the best Opie you can be, whatever that is. And
knowing what I know from all the times I've talked to Anthony about it and the stuff Anthony's talked about in his books and online and on his shows, the fact that Opie was pretty much an ass to everybody he worked with, that was his downfall. If he would have kept some kind of good contacts, He could have done something. He would have had people on his
Oh
side.
yeah.
Excuse me. Right now, there's nobody on his side. He's an army of one. The amount of trolling that he gets on his shows, I've never watched one of his shows. I tried. I got about 90 seconds through,
Not
and I'm
even
like,
the Unleashed, Chris. Come on.
you know what? I've seen, like I said, I turned it on for a couple seconds, and he's walking around with a camera, and the chills.
You didn't see
Do
him
you
by
see the
envelopes?
chills?
That's a classic.
I just I don't know. I have better things to do with my time, honestly, than to actually sit there, watch a show, and realize I can't get those 45 minutes back in life. I just can't do it. So I try to catch up, and I hear what you say, what Anthony says, what other people talk about on Twitter about how nauseating it is and how bad it is, and it's beyond a bad watch. It's just it's sad. That's the thing. It's sad.
It's a sad watch.
I can't bring myself to watch something where I mean, do you really think he's trying? That he's going out there with the camera and trying to be funny, trying to be edgy?
He's trying not to try. Like
thank you. That's what it is. And I can't watch it. I can't.
But we can listen to it. Hold on.
I do enjoy it, but we don't really, talk at any level outside here.
I know, and it's you think you take responsibility to do it, and but you do for part of it and on the surface, but you don't sometimes. You don't.
Like what?
Just in general, you have no idea. You have literally no idea how your moods affect other people. I'm not saying
you gotta go.
I will in October.
I'm fine here.
I know you're fine.
I'm fine here, and I enjoy what I'm doing.
We don't need to react.
Like Jimmy's trying so hard to smooth it over, to work it through, and Opie's just putting his heels in the sand.
I've met Jimmy a couple of times. We actually have a mutual friend that I used to play baseball with. That's a good friend of Jimmy's. If you can't be friendly and cordial with Jimmy Norton, who is one of the nicest, funniest, easiest guys to know on the planet, dude, you've got a problem. You've got to really look in the mirror. There was no reason for this. You hear it in Opie's voice. You hear the angst. You hear that whiny crying, the jealousy.
No,
He is so jealous.
Yeah.
He's so jealous of Jimmy because Jimmy on a bad day can make people laugh on the show. He doesn't have to have his A-list material to come up with something on the spot. Opie's got to think about it and got to try to work it and try to come up with a quip. And you can't, you as a wonderful stand-up comedian who I've seen multiple times, I love when you're on stage.
Oh, shucks.
Knows what that is like. You either have the knack for it or born with that ability, or you don't. You can't force yourself into it. You can't make it up as you go along. And that was Opie's problem. And it will continue to be his problem as long as he tries to be funny.
He should embrace not being funny.
I agree. I agree.
In October, I'm done.
I don't want to wait till October then. That's ridiculous.
I'm not quitting my fucking job.
I didn't say that.
Well, then what am I going to do? Are you going to fire me? You can't. I'm not saying you can't.
Because I fire everybody else, or I'm just asking. Why would I fire you?
Because you have the ability to. Because you're my boss.
Why? But why would I do that?
Because you just said why wait till October?
Well,
you're the one who
but that's
just
silly,
said
though. If you're not happy here, then you could.
He wants him to quit, which is like because he wants to be the last man standing. Like, oh, you quit.
And he's done this before. Opie has got to be that much of an ass to bring up something on the air that should have been discussed off the air. This should have never been put out publicly. Now, yes, you can say, well, it was better for ratings. More people wanted to hear the infighting and stuff like that. But there was no plan behind this. This wasn't a radio bit. This is your dirty laundry. And now you're airing it out for the world to hear. And it's making you look so petty, which you are. Should have never. There's, as a professional broadcaster, which he was on FM radio, he was a professional broadcaster. He should have known so much better than to do this. He just lost control, had it, was tired of the whole Anthony thing, was tired of the whole Jimmy thing. I want this to be my show. I want to take the wheel. I want to drive the bus. And he drove it straight off a cliff.
Yeah. And he's really holding it against Jim, that Jim is just effortlessly, naturally funny and more likable.
100%.
and wants him to be. Yeah, it's almost like a toxic divorced mom who's fine. Go spend time with your father. I don't care.
That's exactly a great way to put it. You're exactly right.
Why would you stay till October?
Because it's money. It's my job. Again, I'm not a 3-year-old. It's my job.
So maybe there's other ways to do it.
How?
I don't know. Let's ask the company.
You ask the company. You have more connections. I'm not the one that goes up and talks to him. I don't have no relationship with
Someone
them.
has to.
Well, you have
was,
to.
Yeah, that was never fun for
Do
me.
you guys want me to talk to them?
It would be lovely.
Poor Esther. Poor Esther is just desperately trying to get, she's like, I'm just trying to plug my dates.
She had no idea what she got into when she stepped in that mess. It was the little ember that exploded the TNT barrel
like
in the
they should
cartoons.
just be like, Esther, I'm so sorry. Can you just go home? Like, we'll have you back another day, but we can't get over this, and we won't be talking to you very much at all. Sorry. In fact, you know what? Go. Here's $20. Go get a sandwich. Go get us some coffees, because we're not gonna be talking to you at all.
This was so. I remember the hype around when this happened and the jaws that were dropping. That this was actually being discussed live on the air. It was like. So many people like, no, this wasn't real. This is not happening. They're putting it on. But then as it came out that, oh my God, this was a real fight on air. This is fighting without actually jumping over the console and beating the crap out of each other. This is verbal sparring. And Opie being the company man, dropping the quips that, oh, maybe management should know about it or talk about it or, the same thing he did with Anthony
sucking up to all the higher ups.
Oh yeah, with the same thing he did to Anthony when Anthony used to come in a couple minutes late during the show's opening theme. How he would say, "Oh, Anthony, just getting into the studio." Wink, wink. A little
just outing him any chance he got.
Come on, who does that?
Yeah,
Jesus, it's unbelievable.
Because he likes to be the number one dude.
Go down the hall, but
Chirp, chirp.
Hi, Esther.
Oh, yeah, you could talk to him, dude. I mean, you have a relationship with them. I don't.
I'm not going to throw you under the bus.
I don't know. I've looked at it.
I've done.
I feel like we should go outside and take a bong hit.
A bong hit?
She's like, I need a bong hit.
You feel like what? I know they would have gotten rid of me with Ant. They would have been happy to cut my salary and get rid of me. Of course I know that.
They asked me.
I know they did.
They absolutely asked me.
Of course they did.
And you were also one of the, one of the people that definitely said we should continue.
Yeah, I like having a job.
Yeah. You were very insistent on that in the beginning.
Yeah, it's my job.
Right.
I like doing it. I like doing this for a living. But you think I don't.
But I get all the shit for moving on without Ant. It's ridiculous that I'm the only one that gets the shit for moving on without Ant.
I know you want me to get this shit too. I do.
No. I'm more surprised that I get all the focus. It's ridiculous.
And I know you're surprised.
Everyone knew that me and Anthony fucking hated each other's guts, and now I'm learning the shit he was doing behind the scenes, and it's fucking brutal.
I know you're.
And then
surprised.
people are like, wow, you threw your partner of 20 years under the bus. No, it was a long time fucking coming. If we had any type of relationship, we would have continued together in some form. But it was so obvious, and you knew it too. I had to have known how bad it was. You had to have known.
I know you guys weren't getting along.
I think Opie's like so afraid. He's so afraid of how this show is going to go without Anthony. He knows he can't carry it by himself. He can't bring a fraction of what Anthony brought, and it's just like he's just freaking out. And so it's like he's trying to push everybody away.
He became a victim of his own success. So it was almost like he was trying to grab a cactus without hitting one of the needles when you don't have to lift up the cactus. Everybody was going to harp on him and dump on him because he tried doing the same thing that he did with Anthony. You couldn't do it. And it was unfair to ask Jimmy to do that because when they started, when Opie and Anthony first got together back in the Boston days, they were friends. They were definitely more friendly than they are now, but they had a repertoire that made them successful. They worked well off each other. They both needed each other, and that grew, but it grew so large that eventually Anthony obviously didn't need Opie, and Opie started grabbing on Anthony's coattails and just hanging on for the ride. He knew he didn't have the things he could bring. He didn't have Anthony's characters. He didn't have his humor. He didn't have his edgy ability. He was just kind of like a, plain vanilla bus driver, just driving the bus along for the ride. But Anthony's the one that's hitting the dings to make it stop every 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And that was unfair for Jimmy to come in because Jimmy did not have that repertoire with Opie, because Opie was always jealous of Jimmy, always jealous that he had that comedic ability, that natural ability to make people laugh. And he couldn't follow it. He couldn't, there was no, it was like of going down a rough road, bouncing all over the
Mm.
place. You couldn't just follow it. And this is what happened to him. He got very cynical. He got very angry. And
Yeah.
we're at Opie Unleashed. God help us
Now
all.
we are Opie Unleashed, which what he should have done is sit back and be like, wow, I'm with two masters right now. Like anybody else who does a show with Aunt and Jimmy or listens to shows or just is around them, it's kind of like he should have took the attitude of like, wow, I'm just grateful to be here witnessing this. You guys are
Totally.
awesome. Like lift them up, give them props, like talk about how funny and great they are. Just like be supportive,
The one word that sums it all up, the one thing that Opie could not let go, ego. He just could not let go of his own ego. He couldn't take one step back and say, would have this show would have lasted till today? No. But it could have gone on to the point where it could have grew even more, could have been bigger. It could have spawned into some kind of video podcast. God knows the sky was the limit if he just took a step back and said, wow, all right, this thing is going in a real good direction. These two got a great sync. I'll just take a step back and try to be a little less of what I was before. And nobody would have ever had a problem with it. And it would have been, like, it was one of the greatest radio shows of all time. And I think it will always be. I don't think we'll ever see another radio show like that, even though Anthony's back on WABC 770. It's, a little different. There's no shock jocks anymore. But it could have gone someplace much, much better, much more cordial, and spawned so many things in so many different directions if he just controlled his ego. That was it. Simple. And look, I'm not saying it's a simple thing to do either. You put yourself in his shoes again. Here I am. I feel like I brought these guys in and I've got this mega contract. I'm making all this money and
Right.
my name is first on the show. It should be me. It's hard to do. For a guy, it's hard to do, to check your own ego. But, I think if he was smart about it, he could have and would have. And we'd be in a different place now.
Yeah.
Everybody would be making fun of Stuttering John then.
I don't know if I went over the dates earlier. Kumio was fired July 4th, 2014. Then from July 4th, 2014 to September 2016 was Opie and Jim. And then this was from, like right in the middle, December of 2015. So this iteration only lasted 2 years, which, God, that must have felt like a long 2 years.
Can you imagine just going into work to sit down in a studio with somebody
Next to
who
this.
you pretty much hate at that point? There was pure vitriol between Opie and Jimmy at that point. And like Jimmy said, he liked the job. He liked getting up, coming to work, getting paid a good salary, for being funny, for being himself. Oh, I wish we all had a job that we can get up and just, be ourselves for a day and get paid for it. But you had to sit there and you had to work with this guy who, if he could, would have cut your ass off this show right as this was happening. And man, that must have been brutal to do. Oh.
A couple super chats. Rhinoceros, thank you for the 5. Hail, Chrissy. The best show on the tubes that weren't tied. Oh, tubes. Haha, that weren't tied. Got it. Thank you.
Much
Brian.
love to the Bean, by the way. Much love to the Bean and to hubby.
Oh, the hubby's napping. Not napping, sleeping. Making sure the Bean is sleeping now. He's gonna be 1 in like 2 weeks. I can't believe
Chrissy,
it.
I'm telling you, and I think I've said this to you before when we were at Governor. I said, it's going to go so fast. I still look at my son and my daughter. I still call my daughter Baba J. She'll always be my little Baba and my Baba boy. I see them just bobbing around the house. My son is 25. My daughter is 22. In the blink of an eye, they flew through school, flew through college, and I'm like, oh my God. Before I know it, I'll be in a retirement home and they'll be, signing my AARP checks. But
Oh,
it goes so fast.
wow. Oh, I feel like the first 6 months, I really felt that. I was like, because you're just I mean, you're kind of a slave to breastfeeding the whole time, but we started doing solids at 4 months. But the
Oh yeah,
first
I
6
know what
months,
that's like.
you're really like, you gotta like, you're on the schedule. You're like, gotta feed every 2 hours or like whenever he wants it. So you can't go too far or do too much. Um, yeah, but it's fun. It's worth it.
Which again, kudos to you for being able to do your shows that you do while, having the little bean in the house. Amazing
Oh,
job. Amazing, really.
I'm just so grateful that I don't have like to do a 9 to 5. Like I can like I don't have to throw him in a daycare. I can, thank God, because I've read so many horror stories about kids at daycare and it's just
Oh, I wouldn't do it.
yeah.
Thankfully, I was able to work the job and bring home the bread the old school way, where my
Wow,
wife
like a
was
man.
like a man. I'm bringing home that bacon.
Like a man. But
Yeah.
is
So
merit is
she,
contagious unless you're evil, unless you've evil or you're evil. Thanks, Ryan Osiris. Good for you though. That's very cool. And it's just, I don't know, the idea of, and some people have to do it. They have no choice, but the idea of just like bringing my little bean and being like, bye, I'm not going to see you from 9 to 5 or
I
from
couldn't do
8
it.
to 5. Like,
I couldn't do it. I don't believe
I
in it.
would, yeah.
I think you lose a connection with your child. You're basically letting somebody else raise your child. And the thing is with today, more so than 20 years ago when we had my kids, although back then it was kind of the same, especially living where we live on Long Island. You have to have a family with 2 incomes. So the mom and the dad
Mhm.
has to work to afford to live there. Like I said, I didn't make a lot of money then, but I made enough. We had a simple little railroad apartment on Long Island, but she would always be there. My wife taking care of both kids as they were
Aw.
growing up, cooking dinner, taking care of the house. It was the old school way. We had the dog, the cat, we had everything but the white picket fence. And
Aw.
she did a great job raising the kids. My kids
Wow.
are the most beautiful, brilliant kids. I love them to death. They are me. They're respectful. They're great. They were good in school, which I don't know where the hell they got that from. But
Aw.
yeah, it's a blessing. So knowing that you're there, able to take care of the little one, he's going to grow up the right way, and he's got a great mom and dad, and that is absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thanks, Quiz. Back to something a little less heartwarming.
But so what? I mean, meaning like when he got fired, I knew you guys were fighting. Yeah, I knew a lot of it. I knew why you were fighting.
We weren't even fighting. We weren't talking
In
at
general,
all.
you know
we
what
weren't
I'm
even
saying?
talking.
You know what I mean? I knew where the tension was. I knew where the tension was.
He didn't respect, me as far as this radio show goes, but continued doing it and then doing shitty things behind the fucking scenes.
Yeah, but you keep saying that.
Shitty things.
Like I don't know what
Give an
shitty. You say
example.
you found out stuff that he was doing recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Well, it's
You hear how Jimmy's
pretty,
getting angrier.
pretty solid. Yes.
Because he's like, they can't even have a conversation. They can make no forward progress on this conversation.
Nothing.
And meanwhile, the listeners, like, these people are going round and round in circles. Unless you say what were the shitty things he's done, you can't move on. And sorry, you have to be able to move on because you're on the air and you're holding your audience hostage with this now. And Esther Koo.
Esther's got to be sitting there just shell shocked. She has no
Like,
idea what's going on.
okay.
And then what about
Yeah.
everybody else, who was behind the glass, who was producing the show? What were they thinking at the time? Was any of them thinking like, oh, we might have to go in there and pull the plug or stop this before it gets really out of hand and then we're all out of a job?
Yeah, it's getting messy. Everyone's feeling tense.
Pretty solid.
Will you tell me?
Just like, hi, I'm alive still.
Well, you talk to the company. What do you want me to tell you, dude? I mean, you are my boss.
That's
Yeah, no, it's not.
No,
No,
it's
contractually, you're my boss, dude. You're my
not.
boss.
I can't get you. I can't fire you.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
News. I probably shouldn't be telling it. Yes, you can.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
know
think
the
so.
contract. I know you don't, but I know the contract.
There's
He
nothing.
doesn't
There's
wanna
nothing.
fire you.
There's nothing in the contract that says I could fire you.
I'm here. I'll tell you exactly what the contract says because I didn't trust the company as much. I can get fired from the company if I really fuck.
Jim like knows his stuff. He clearly has read the contract, and Opie's
Right.
trying to seem like, oh, I'm the because he hated that Anthony was the cool one, the funny one, the one everybody was friends with. So he's like, oh, I can't fire you, huh?
You have to wonder
I'm
if
just
Jimmy.
a cool guy.
You have to wonder if Jimmy put that out there, like almost as
To
a
see if he
dare.
would.
Yeah, it's a dare. The
Like,
lay
you
your cards not
could.
on the table. Come on, big boy, step up to the plate. You could fire me. You could fire me right now.
Because
Go
he
ahead, do it.
wants to.
Yeah, at this point, yes. He's tired of being berated by Opie. He's thinking to himself, well, is this all worth what I'm getting paid to come in here and have to deal with this shit now? So come on, big boy. Here it
Yeah,
is.
he's not having
Make
fun.
my day.
If you're having
Yeah.
conversations like this, how could you possibly be having fun?
No. I do not envy Jimmy in this position at all. Nobody wants to be in this
Like if I
position.
really do something egregious or terrible, or pull my dick out in the hallway, or I fucking roll a bowling ball down in the Scott's office from up here, I could get fired. But in order for me to get fired, for basically light stuff, it has to be you, or it was you, and it was at the pleasure of Opie and Anthony. And then it became the pleasure of Opie. So I'm here. You are the buffer between me and the company. So you can fire me a lot easier than they can, contractually, unless I really fucked up. But I haven't really
He's
fucked
like,
up.
I
So
can.
you, if you want to move on, could talk to the company and they would do it because they would love to cut my salary. I told you, they're not awful to me. They're not terrible to me here, dude. They don't treat me terrible. However, I've told you since day one, they don't give a fuck if I'm here or not. And you're like, no, dude, they like you. I'm like, dude, you stop. I'm too smart for that.
They absolutely asked me. I said, of course, I'd continue with Jimmy.
But the fact that they had to ask you that shows you exactly where they put me in the.
No, they
That's
wanted
why.
they wanted to know what what it was going to be after that. After Ant got fired, so they sat me down and said, what is this now going to be?
They were probably crossing their fingers,
wanna
like we
continue.
don't want to lose Norton.
No, they don't.
We wanted to continue with you. So what do you see as the new show? That's exactly the conversation I had. Exactly.
I understand.
And in all fairness, you don't look at me either. So now what? That's but hold on.
He's such a victim. He's
Jimmy could have had his Nostradamus moment there if he would have said, "Oh, well, what if they fire me for sticking a camera in the bathroom and recording somebody?" Oh, that would have been.
yeah. Too many ideas. Rex Kramer, thanks for the yellow boy. Just to thank you for giving Opie his topic of discussion for his next show. Hell, 3 shows. Chrissy and Chris, thanks for such an entertaining show. Wow, thank you.
I love Rexy. Rexy's always on my streams. I love him to death. He's such a great dude. Thank
I'm
you,
just
Rexy.
trying to learn the lore so that I'm prepared for when I eventually finally interview Opie.
And I think you will. If he is smart,
I'm gonna
which
wear him down.
obviously he's not, he would have taken your offer. I heard the offer that you put out to him originally there.
I would send a car for him. You know what a big deal that is?
He should totally do your show. If he wants any sort of relevancy moving forward, he has to do your show. There would be so many watchers. I would tune in. I'd put it on my big screen TV in the living room.
Yeah,
I'd sit back, make some popcorn,
It's a
and enjoy.
comfortable couch. I have a variety of drinks at the studio. It would be fun.
It would be great. Do it, Opie. I'm looking at you right now, Opie. Greg Hughes, please do the right thing. Go on, Chrissy.
Do the right thing.
Dude, come on. Look at
What
me.
else are you
I'm here.
doing?
What? Yeah, exactly. What are you just waking up at 5 a.m, having coffee out on the Hamptons house, doing a show from your
studio.
telling us if there's traffic on the FDR Drive below you from your Manhattan apartment. Come on. We'll have some laughs. It'll be enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Just
It'll be
do
part
it.
of his big comeback.
Yes, you never know what can spawn. Publicity is not a negative thing. Somebody might call you from a ham radio station off the coast of Guam saying, "Hey, Opie, listen, we want you to come on and do drive time 4 to 6 on Guam radio." You never know.
He could get a radio gig out of it.
So that's now on me because you think, you never look at me, but I swear to you, I get the same exact feeling.
I know you do. I know you feel like what you're saying. I know that. I really believe you. I know you're not bullshitting me, but I'm telling you, we're talking about things half the time, and you are looking at everybody else in the room, and it's a weird thing. And I'm not saying you have to like Uncle Paul. It's just a bit on the dumb radio show, but your reaction to it is literally like you're being beaten with something, and you're staring into them like
Yeah.
It's a weird. It's not a silence. It's a silence that is meant to make a statement.
And we've talked about it. I apologize to you that I don't react better to it. But then, you know, I mean, 99% of the shit you do, I'm fucking laughing my balls off and pushing forward. It's just, when you do a radio show, you're not going to like every single thing. And I feel bad that I get in the way of that one, but it's just really fucking weird to me. That's all.
It's not the laughter. I don't need you to laugh. Like, I don't want you to fake laugh.
But that part's, oh God, I'm not fake laughing.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that's not what I want.
But that's my point. I'm not fake laughing. I generally love everything you do on the radio show. So who gives a fuck? It's one thing. And then I try to see how I could, you know, work it better or just stay out of the conversation or something. I don't know.
Because it derails it. And it's a weird, it's like I said, it's a silence that says something. It's not a silence that is
so
brutal.
Yeah, but you do the exact same thing with some of the stuff I talk about. It's just what it is. If you're not into something, you're not into something. I mean, what can I tell you? I know you don't give a shit about half the stuff I bring up. It's fine.
So he's trying to say he's not into, like, when he's crushing it and doing funny bits. It's like Opie's like, I'm just not into it because it doesn't involve me, and I'm not the focus, and I'm not funny, and I'm over here stewing.
Jimmy is sitting there right now, and he's looking at Opie, and the thing that's in his mind is, what bits? What are you talking about? What
bits do you do?
You like 99% of what I do. The 1% that I don't, you hate so much that you've got to virtually ruin the show. And you think that I'm not on board with any of the what bits do you do? He doesn't know. There are no bits.
He's bitless.
Opie is now, he's plucking the peaches off the tree, hoping to find the ripe one, is what he's doing. He's got nothing. He can't go off on Jimmy and say that the stuff Jimmy does is bad because people like it. They laugh. That's why people are listening. It was really Jimmy and Opie. That's it. Now it's
He's like, well, my bits.
So bad for Jimmy here.
Oh God. Oh boy. Yeah, very tense.
It's not that I don't give a shit about this stuff. Sometimes the timing of it's odd, but it's like, you know,
completely tap out too. So I mean, what are we trying to say here?
What do I tap out of?
I'd have to sit down and think about it, but
I mean,
I'll start talking about something and go, okay, and I get no reaction.
I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it, I could think of something. Dude.
Oh yeah. Let me Starlog 458.5. Jimmy Norton made one bad joke that I didn't like this day, and I had to. No, come on. There's nothing there. He's right now. He's a drowning man trying to grab onto Jimmy's to save his life. He's got nothing. It's pathetic. It really is. And I'll bring it up again. It's sad. It's sad.
It is sad. He's a sad man.
And sometimes you gotta work the conversation to see where the sweet spot is and see where it could go. And if you're not interested in something, you absolutely tap out quickly.
That happens in every relationship where two people spend a lot of time together. You just eventually tap out.
Right.
It's almost natural. Anybody who works together, is married. You guys have been working together for so long. Like
so hard.
Right.
I mean,
Esther Koo, comedian and marriage counselor.
If you didn't tap out, then you guys might be in love,
Yeah. I mean, it all stems down to it was time for the Opie and Anthony show to end, and people should just, understand that. And I get a lot of heat for that because I didn't go to bat for him, which is ridiculous because I did absolutely all the time in the fucking past. We had nothing left to offer. We wouldn't fucking look at each other. We wouldn't fucking talk to each other. We wouldn't call each other anymore. He didn't give a fuck about what I said on this radio show anymore. And quite
what? He's upset that he didn't call him on the phone.
Opie was so mad. And Anthony said this many times. He was so mad that Anthony never came over his house. It was so, I don't even know what word I can make up for it.
Not once in like all the years.
Not once. They were never quote unquote chummy enough to go over each other's house. Look, Anthony's never been over my house. Am I gonna now badmouth Anthony because he never came over my house? What are we, 6? Are we in grade school? So he never came over your house. Did you ever invite him over for Christmas dinner? I don't. But he always said the fact that Opie never came over, and I guess to Opie that was a big thing. He took it as a slight, and that was the beginning of the end. And that was, I guess they were probably working with each other for a couple of years before they got to that point. And I know there was some background there between I think it was Anthony's ex-wife, and was friends with Opie's wife. There was some
Okay.
connection there. And when they got divorced, that was the final, knock of the wood that destroyed the pier. And then that was it. It was over from that point going forward. But yeah, Anthony said it many times that because he never went over Opie's house, he always
Wow.
either resented him
Did
for it
he
or
have Opie over his house?
that's a good question. I don't know.
Chat, does anyone know?
I don't ever recall him, when I knew him, I don't ever recall him being there or being mentioned there. But I don't know. That's a good question. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say probably because he never went to Opie's house, Opie wouldn't go to his house. That's how petty this whole thing was. Again, children. They're 6 years old in the playground. I'm not going over your house unless you come over my house.
Rhinoceros. April Fool's Day, where Deucey is next to Chrissy in Saki garb. Trump team, make it happen. Thanks, Rhinoceros. We'll have to circle back to that, okay? Jimmy Mernsben. Chrissy, you're on a roll with the O&A lore. Remember the grape fight and walking on Greg shells? Need to get Doggy to meet Muffin and Waffles. Miss you, Chris. Pet Marine for me.
Will
Marine.
live. He's right behind me. He's sleeping.
Oh,
He's
what's up,
sleeping.
Jimmy? Is this drunk Jimmy?
Can actually wait. What if you can see him? There's Marine in the crate.
What will I see the crate?
Yep. Well, because if I let him out of said crate, he will completely destroy everything that I have sitting here. He'll be out of it as soon as this is done. He's sleeping. He's a good wolf.
That's sad.
And then Waffles is one of the new guinea pigs that we picked up while we're down
Waffles is
here.
one of our dogs.
Oh,
We have a Waffles. Oh,
everybody loves Waffles. And I went to the Waffle House while I'm down here, which is like the greatest gift
Wow.
of God ever. So
yeah. What's your Waffle House order?
I had the all-star breakfast, a plate-wide blueberry waffle, smothered with butter, homogenized vegetable oil on the syrup, baby. And then you get 2 eggs over easy, smothered covered chunks, toast, and bacon. I was sad. That was it. That was my moment of zen.
Matthew Hammond for 2. Is Opie the straight guy upset that he's not funny? Yes. Yes, that's it in a nutshell.
Frankly, I didn't give a fuck about a lot of the stuff he was doing at that point. We lost our fucking chemistry. So it was time to end the show. And then for me to get all the heat is so ridiculous. I can't even tell you. It's so obvious that it was time to move on. And that's why I wish him nothing but the best as he continues with his career. But the shit I found out of the stuff he was doing behind the scenes is just unforgivable,
what?
period.
How do you know it's even true?
I can't go down the road right now. I really can't.
Okay.
He was resentful
Not
about
this
Anthony
time.
doing stuff at his house.
Not at this.
That's when it started. When Anthony built the studio in Roslyn, and he started doing live streaming, karaoke streaming, just talking to people, he got so resentful. It's almost like he felt like it was a breach of contract, and he
continued on.
Yeah, that he created something that he was smart enough and wise enough to do something with the money that he made on the show. To look, it was fun for him. He bettered himself. He built him and Keith the cop built a beautiful studio in his Roslyn home. You remember, you were there many times.
Yeah.
The cameras, the lighting, it was a professional studio. And Opie lost his collective shit that he didn't think of it first. He couldn't follow it up, and it was just that's it. It was the destruction in Opie's mind.
So like he wanted him to never recover and just never have a career again?
See, that's a great question that I hope Opie comes on the show to answer.
When he
if you
comes
ask
on,
him that question.
which he will. I'll ask him that.
Because only Opie knows that. We don't know what his intentions were, what his feelings were, his real feelings, not the bogus bullshit now that the hate is up because of the book or that things that barbs are going back and forth. What did you feel at the time? What was your problem? What could have made it better? And then let him answer. And, I hopefully believe he will answer truthfully. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But we then have some kind of answer to how this all got so bad behind the scenes.
So Eli here says Opie did go to Ann's house. He talks about it in the bit when Jimmy complains about his visit to Ann's house.
Okay. So he did go.
Opie was saying on air that he had options and was going to leave the show to Ant and Jimmy. Now his revisionist history is that Ant ended the show. Oh.
See how things change? He never. I can't read his mind to say what was actually his thoughts and his processes during that time. But from everybody watching on the outside and hearing it from Anthony's side, because you don't hear that much from Opie's side back then. He was kind of secluded. He wouldn't be doing his streams or nothing. So you've heard it from Anthony's side for a long time. Now that Opie's side has kind of come out, everybody just looks at it as complete bullshit. You just have that angst and you want to get angry and go back at him and pretend like he doesn't matter and, oh, he was the cause of this and that. But no, I don't believe you. I want to really come out and say the truth. Hook him up to a lie detector. Put your hand on the Bible. Do what you got to do. I want the truth, damn it. You can't handle
the truth.
It's time.
But you say like, well, we're not close like that, which is, but the amount of my, no, you're not letting me finish, dude. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not hurt by that. We're shocked by it. The amount of my personal life I expose on this radio show is fucking astronomical. Now I know with a family, you can't expose all that stuff, but you literally give 5% of that, 10% of that. And you expect me to, or other people to expose their personal life. And everything I do that's embarrassing or humiliating or in the moment, I talk about.
Right.
And then it comes down to, we're joking the other day about something, and somebody said something like, what's your song? Like you're talking about the wedding song or some shit. You're like, oh, you put me on the spot. Like you don't even want to offer that up.
Wow.
And it's like, how much, and then how come you didn't say that?
Like he shares none of his life, but wants to be, you're of course not going to be as liked as the people who are sharing more about the viewer is not stupid. Like the listener can tell if someone's being open or not.
And Jimmy brings up a great point that was talked about too, is that Anthony had always said he believed that Opie's wife and his family influenced a lot of the decisions that he made on the show and being like what to talk about, what direction to go. If they didn't like something, he would try to squash it immediately. So you have Jimmy on this one hand who's, life is an open book, and for everybody, because you have, other comics like Florentine and the guys who he would, and Bob Levy, who would talk openly about Jimmy's stories in the car and the funny things Jimmy used to do. So everything about Jimmy's life was out there, but Opie remained very closed, very secluded, and very private. So again, you have this going on when it just doesn't work. It could never work. And Anthony was the one who was there to kind of bridge that gap between the two. He made it so that the show would continue to flow. And yes, he
makes everyone look good.
Exactly. He lifts up everybody in the room. That's what they say about sports players. When you get somebody on a team, he makes everybody on the team better with his play. That's what Anthony did. He lifted up Opie. He made him better. He lifted up Jimmy, made him better. And the show had a flow. You took that cork out of the bottle and everything just drained out. You were left with an empty bottle.
Well, it's because we're not close like that. And it's like, well, all I do is fucking talk about my personal life and the shit that's going on.
Right. So that's you. You're way more open than probably 99.9% of the people I've ever met in my life. You're an exception to the rule.
That's still, when something is happening that affects the radio show, if it affects the radio show, and then you're not going to make me privy to it, if it's got anything to do with me, even in a peripheral way, is unfair.
I guess, but. I'm not saying it on the air right now.
Of course not.
But
you don't even send me a text to let me know certain other things that had happened. I gotta read them in the paper.
Yeah, you do at this point. Sadly, yeah.
Like why?
Because I never felt like I could talk to you.
You don't feel like you could trust
me
anymore.
We used to. We used to be really close. No, you know that, and we used to talk a lot and stuff. I felt like it got to a point. Yeah, I just couldn't really talk to you about that stuff anymore.
Why?
What do you tell Anthony?
I don't know. I don't know what changed.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know.
I'll tell you what changed. You think, or you're afraid that I'm going to run back and say something.
Wait, what'd you say, Chris?
This whole fight needs to be put to some kind of violin music.
Oh
God. It's so bad.
It's sad.
You're afraid, like I'm an errand boy who I'm going to run back and give a report on what you're talking to me about.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly
That's
it.
what it is. You don't want to say
No,
that's
that
what
might
it
be,
is.
That might be part
And that
of
is
it.
insulting.
That might be part of it. I don't know.
I don't know.
It might be part of it.
Right. Might be. Right. That's
No, I'm serious. It might be a part
It's
of
a
it.
huge part of it. And that's why I said paranoid before. Like, you think I'm going to run back and fucking report to other men? I love Anthony, but I'm not going to run back and report like a fucking a grown man. Guess what he said to me today? It doesn't work that way.
That's fine.
Doesn't work
That's
that way.
fine.
That's fine.
I support him. I do his show because, again, he's my friend. And you know the relationship. I mean,
Ugh.
That
he
says it all.
definitely talked to you.
Yeah. Ugh. You're
He would-
closer.
yeah.
You guys are friends. You're funnier. I get it. Ugh.
The pecking order. It's oh god, children, man. It's
You're not my
schoolyard.
favorite. I'm not your favorite.
About shit. It definitely did. What about, the famous text message where he was calling me a cunt and was sending it to you casually.
Yep.
So obviously he probably did that from time to time, and he sent it to me by accident.
I remember the text.
And then he quickly blamed, saying it was you when I knew.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
This cunt won't even look at me.
That is the greatest text snafu in human history right there. There was no bigger gaffe. He talked about it on a couple of days ago on Anthony's show. There's just the moment after when he realized what he had done. And again, you're talking about all the money that and everything that was on the line, and he went into complete denial mode, but he knew what he had done. Oh, I wish I was a fly in that room just to look at the expression on Anthony's face once he knew. And again, this was before the days of recalling messages.
Oh, right. You can't unsend.
No, not back in those days. It was it. And he said he heard his phone vibrate on the table.
Oh, he couldn't just slap the phone off the table or something, throw it in the toilet. Be like, I don't know what came over me.
Oh, can you imagine? I could see him diving across. Microphones are flying everywhere. Buttons are being pressed and lit up. Somebody's on the phone, and Anthony's wrestling on the floor to grab Opie's phone and hit delete.
Okay, yeah. I just want to check it. I just want to check.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yep, but that was it right there.
He didn't blame me. No, he didn't.
Said it to.
Oops, sorry.
I was gonna say, can you imagine again? And I believe he discussed it, but Opie's expression when he picked up his phone, and then that if it was in slow motion, that initial
like that Ralph Wiggum getting his heart breaking into two, like
the moment Ralph's heart broke. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
To me, he goes, I'll explain later. I was talking about Jimmy. He was throwing you under the bus. I'm like, no, you weren't. You were sending that to Jimmy, and you sent it to me by accident.
What he said was that he was sending it to a girl. But you're asking me to speak for a text message that he sent.
Huh?
You're asking me to address a text message that he sent.
But that was certainly, suspicious that he was comfortable enough to be sending you text messages during the show, which is kind of fucking creepy.
But who said he was sending the text message to me during the show? Why are we talking about that?
It's just one of the examples of some of the dirty shit that was going on while we're just trying to do a radio show together. It was what the fuck? Like the issues I had with Anthony, I would call him up and try to work it out.
Oh,
and he chose to do it another way.
Bullshit. That is such horse shit. He would air any grievances we had with Anthony on the show in veiled attempts to get him pissed off by management.
Oh.
He didn't call him for shit. No, that's complete horse shit. I'm calling bullshit on that one. The bullshit-o-meter just broke. No.
Wow. Because Opie wanted Anthony to look bad in front of management, basically.
Yeah, and if he did that, why wouldn't he be doing the same thing right now with Jimmy? Why wouldn't he have called Jimmy or took Jimmy on the side, or when they're off the air in the offices or whatever, say, hey, listen, let me just talk to you for a couple minutes. Let me air some grievances out at you. But no, he did it online like a tard, basically.
Yeah. Just wanted it messy.
They can believe everything was fine and doing some shit behind the scenes.
And you're afraid if you tell me so and so had this happen, I'm going to run back. I'm
not afraid. You're just not on that level these days. Unfortunately,
yes, of course he's afraid.
You're just not. We don't. You're just
not on that level.
It's fine. It's fine.
So shitty. So
You know.
shitty.
Come October, I'll go. If you want me faster to
I'm
go,
not fucking firing you. That's ridiculous.
well, I'm giving my notice for October, and I'll do the radio show, and I'll be funny on the radio show, despite this discussion. I mean, it's my job. I can be funny on the radio show.
Okay. Be weird though now.
Oh, now
It's
he's being
December
weird.
now.
Yeah, I mean,
October just passed.
I know. We got 10 months left. But hey, look, if you want to move me to a different, I mean, what are you going to do? What can I possibly do? If the company is going to wind up firing me.
So when Ant takes all the shots at me, you just make believe he's not doing that, or
What shots?
So they're talking about the future of the show, what to do, what does he want Jimmy to do, and Opie goes right to Anthony, like
Yeah.
that's what he was thinking about the whole time.
Well, he knew that's all he had. That was the show. Even after Anthony was gone, there was now just a massive gap, a hole in the show that nobody else could fill. Like I said, it was unfair for Jimmy to try to fill it. Jimmy had his own thing going on. He has his own comedic style, his own comedic sense. And Opie lost that bridge and gap. And now he was basically like he's standing at the Grand Canyon and Jimmy's on the other side. You can't fill that with anything. You know you can't fill that with anything because you're not willing to bend. Maybe they could have tried to bring in another second chair to help out or something.
Yeah.
But no, they tried going with it, and it was, look, this is family dysfunction at its finest right here is what this is. I literally feel like I'm listening to a family counseling session in some kind of psychiatric chair.
about it.
Oops. Oh shit, where was I? Oh no.
Oh, don't you love that when you lose it on YouTube?
Oh
Me too, or
no.
other people to expose their personal life and
That was
everything.
bad,
Everything.
Oh, right here.
Oh,
Taking
yeah, you
shots
got
at me.
That's yes. That I think.
Does that bother you at all?
I don't.
Because maybe that plays into it too. Because I'm sitting here like, wow, I do a radio show with the guy every day. He knows the other guy's taking shots at me all the time.
Yeah, but
when Anthony comes up on this show, I literally try to take the high road, and I know you're in the middle. But does it, as a human being, bother you at all?
What bothers me between both of you, and I said this from day one, is that you both had conditions under which you would talk at, like, meaning when Ant got fired and his show came up, and I went on his show the first day. I called in, he was on Long Island, and I said this to you on the air when you and Ant were having that big fight. I said this to you. You should have went on his show, regardless of the personal stuff. My opinion was that the support for his endeavor as a professional guy, as a member of this show, should have been the groundswell of support should have come from us. And it should have been from this show, regardless of all the personal stuff. I told you that from day one.
Yeah, it would have made
So,
my
hold
life.
on. You're asking me, how does it feel? Do I feel? And then you said stuff, which I knew what you meant when you said it, dude. Like, I really did. Like, when you would say stuff like management likes the direction of the show, I knew you weren't motherfuckering him. I knew you were saying that in defense of us. We were getting attacked. People were being very unfair. These guys are fucking traitors. They're cunts. And you said, hey, management likes, you weren't saying fuck Anthony. You were sticking up for us.
And spun it to mean I was saying fuck Anthony. No, we were fighting for our fucking lives. But he can't see past himself.
Our
But when I heard that, as
you mean your paycheck?
And Anthony's talked many times how he wanted to negotiate 1-year deals instead of thinking about down the road and stuff like that. It was, oh my God, I can't even wrap my head around how this got to this point where Opie had to just kind of let all this out on the air. It made no sense to me, at all. And for years he didn't. After Anthony got fired, before Anthony's first book, you didn't hear really much from Opie. Like I said, he was very secluded. You wouldn't be, people weren't asking about him or whatever. But once Anthony's book came out and people started wondering what is going on with him, he's lost his mind. He's literally lost his mind now. And it shows you back then he didn't have much of a mind either.
Wow. Rex Kramer, thanks for the 10. Ant had said something on Tax once to the effect of Opie's wife and or wife's family didn't like that he got divorced and went full-blown pussy hound with 18 to 25-year-olds, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. Like I said, I think there was some kind of relationship there with Anthony's ex-wife, Jennifer.
Okay.
I think she was friends with Opie's wife or something
Okay.
like that. And then, when Ant got divorced and started, dating all the women he was dating, they frowned upon him. It was all it was all over from that point, and it affected Opie because he would be the one who'd have to go home and listen to his wife and listen to his family or whatever, badmouth Anthony, and I think he brought that into the studio. That was just another thing on top of his already warped mind to take him down the path that he went.
Matthew Hammond, thanks for the 2. Did Anthony feel relief after leaving the show? Did he feel relief? Maybe in some sense. When he started to have control over his own thing.
Yeah, that I think that was the initial. There was an initial shock and a little bit of nervousness because, look, he was still getting paid. He still had his contract. It's not like I believe his contract was voided, so he got the money. But I think there was a question of, well, what am I going to do now? But it wasn't long before he realized, oh, I got this thing at home that I can do.
Yeah.
And look what it spawned. It spawned, in my opinion, my humble opinion, the greatest network of shows of free talk and speech during a time when this country was canceling everybody.
Yep.
You were able to turn to Compound Media for just unfettered talk of any topic. And it spawned the likes of your show, Gino's show, Garrett and Steve, and all the people who would come on. And look, it was something that was phenomenally great that he had.
Family.
Was smart enough to do it.
Jimmy Mernsbin for 5. There's a retired cop I've drank with who handcuffed Garrett, aka Stinky, at the UN back in the WNEW days. Still brags about it at the KOC in Oceanside. Oh, wow. This must be drunk Jimmy. Sean, the producer, Sirius XM made the decision for Opie when Opie took a few months off from the show. They gave the show to Jim and Sam and dropped Opie in the afternoon slot.
The show was dead at that point. I mean,
wow.
Nobody was listening. It was a horror show. He derailed the whole thing.
Oh my God, Rhinoceros dropping coin here in the chat. Thank you for the Pink Boy. I'm gonna play the Pink Boy song. Can we all agree that Ukraine can fook off? We're tired of paying for the world, but if we pay for it, why not make that tourism money? Yes, I mean I don't see how that is at all relevant to this conversation. But I agree. I agree, Rhinoceros. Drop them truth bombs.
I agree totally.
I couldn't care. I could not care less about the Ukraine. I can't fester up a care.
I care a little bit about it because we're all paying for it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing? Is there like a
give me something? Give me a coupon to free KFC or something.
Yeah, give us a coupon to Ukraine or something.
Can I get one of Zelensky's green sweatshirts?
Yeah.
Is the guy in the room with you?
Right.
I'm like, why would he? Like, I know what you meant.
Right.
But yet that does not sound like I'm defending my guy. That sounds like the people that gave us the hard time all these years that we railed against, now they like what we're doing. And I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So when he takes shots, like whether you mean to take a shot like that or not, it's a back and forth between you guys. And I would see certain things on Twitter that you would say, I don't think you meant to be horrible. I really don't think you were trying to be attacking.
Right.
But I understand the back and forth between you guys.
Right.
So you're asking, how do I feel about it? There's things that both of you have said that I really wished you had not said. And there's also things that you guys have not said that I'm fucking happy you haven't.
My little subtle Twitter things doesn't even compare to the stuff he's been saying and doing on his end. And I will say this for the record. It had nothing to do with Anthony.
I know that.
It was us fighting for our fucking lives because they weren't, it wasn't even a guarantee they were going to re-sign us in October. We were finishing out the end of our fucking contract. We were fighting to keep this show alive. And, we're doing something right because it's working very, very well.
I'm answering your question.
Okay,
you're saying to
right.
me, how does it make me feel when that happens? I don't want to see it happen. I don't want to be taking shots at you any more than I want you to be saying that stuff for whatever reason, because I know how that's right. Because I know how I hear it and I'm sitting right with you and I know what your intention is. You really weren't. I know you weren't taking a shot at him. And I knew in the moment you weren't.
Well, you probably should have brought it up on the show and we would have,
Who, me?
Why not? And say, wow, what you tweeted was a little strange considering where we're at. Why not? We're doing it right now. Well, seriously, or call
because
me.
I did.
Call me.
Because first of all, you always have a reason like, well, this is why it wasn't that bad. And I did talk to you about it. I did
honestly
say
don't
that to you
remember that one.
about the whole thing about not going on his show. And to be honest with you,
I wouldn't know what to say to the guy. I'm not.
and to be honest with you, dude, like when you're saying something like that, like, you know, that tweet you sent out, I knew you would have just said no, but I meant this because I did know what you meant. And we have talked about it. Like,
No, you probably should have called me and said, but you understand why people are spinning this, maybe.
well, how do you not understand it? You're not a dumb guy. How do you
no,
not get it?
I did see that at that point. Went, fuck, and maybe I should have said something on the air, maybe. But I'm telling you, it wasn't my intention.
And at that point, to allow the personal stuff, the professional stuff, look, I mean, people don't know behind the scenes. They think that I know you went to bat for the guy. I really do. Like, I know that you called them.
Dude, they were fucking mad at Anthony for years around here, and I went to bat for him.
I understand all that, dude.
In my dumb little ways. But by the end of it, we had nothing else to offer. We were done as a radio show, and the chemistry was completely gone. And so for people to say after 20 years I threw him under the bus is completely ridiculous. He got himself fired. Period.
When you say to me, how do I feel him taking shots? And I said, you should have went on the show. Because on a professional level, even if you guys had no personal relationship left, the support for the guy, you're the guy with the gig. I'm the guy with the gig. Like I know we didn't get ourselves far. I get it, but we got the gig. So
Right.
the man out should have gotten the support from this show, not just in casual asides or mentions,
Right.
but legitimate support. So you're saying, why is all the hate directed?
Yeah, what instead of I mean what he focused on was securing his own bag instead of being like, "Hey, Anthony got fired and this is bullshit and we demand he come back or else we walk." Or something like that.
And nobody will ever say that Anthony was a complete angel and didn't do things, I'm sure, that didn't upset management, but it wasn't the point. Up to that point, he still was employed, he was still working there, he was still part of this major show, and they took that cog, that gear, out of the show. And Opie, for as much as he says, "Oh, I did my little things behind the scenes," no, he did not. He didn't do shit. He could have went to directly to management and took a hardline stance with them and said, "Look, we him." Sort of like if you remember in the movie Private Parts when they fired Robin Quivers and Howard went to NBC. He's like, no, she's part of the show. I gotta have her black. Blah blah. That's the kind of stand that Opie should have took, and he just didn't do it because he felt that it's better if we go our separate ways because this thing was kind of winding down. We're not talking to each other. The text message, all that stuff. This was Opie's out for him to out Anthony and try to move on without him. And I think he kind of figured it would work its way out, but it didn't. It went horribly wrong.
Yeah, and kind of like vilify him to everybody. So they'd be like, "Yeah, it's good. It's good that he's out."
Yeah. Yeah, no, if Opie would have had any good standing again with any of the people that he worked with, any of the producers, any of the interns, any of that, these people hated him. So he didn't have anybody to fall on his side and say, "Yeah, maybe we could do something. We can move forward." No, when these people liked Anthony a hell of a lot more than they liked him. So now all of a sudden your boss is a major asshole and he wrecked the good thing that everybody had. And I feel so bad for Jimmy during this whole thing. You hear it in his voice that he's like, he's upset, he's angry, he's unsure, he doesn't know where he wants to go, what he wants to do, does he want to drop the big bomb and blow this whole thing up now, or does he think there's a little inkling that they could work it out, or what a horrible position Jimmy was put in. I feel so bad.
First of all, I get enough of it. Believe me, they don't fucking like me either.
Not really.
They really don't.
Not
right,
really.
guys.
Justin, hold on. There's two grown-ups talking. I know you're trying to help, but we're discussing something. We're not yelling at each other. I'm not telling the guy to go kill himself. We're discussing it. They do not like what I'm doing.
Ant manipulates a lot of the listeners to fucking hate me, right? You know that part of this too.
Which
is amazing to me because we started out as brothers. We did 20 years together.
Now they started out as brothers.
How does he manipulate people?
Oh, Opie always thought and swear that Anthony had multiple, Twitter accounts, fake accounts, burner accounts, that he'd be posting crap about him online, which was never true. It's just that him again.
He doesn't
He's
have time
making
for
up.
that.
No, he's making up shit to throw at Jimmy to say, well, he did this and that and this to me. I'm the better guy, and it was all fabrication. It was a complete lie.
Liar.
And then shitty. We had nothing. We had no chemistry, and we were done offering anything because when he talked, I wasn't listening to him anymore. When I talked, he wasn't listening to me anymore, and it was time to end the fucking thing. And then when he started his show, I honestly have no idea how I would have done the show, knowing where we were at before he even got fired.
First of all, I don't know that he's manipulating people.
Oh yeah, I mean, you tell me I need to be a little more self-aware. If you just open your eyes, it's obvious.
My eyes are wide open, dude. I'm fairly self-aware, not 100%.
Why is it that everyone that's around Anthony has to hate me? Have you figured that one out on your own?
Wow.
People that I've never met in my life have no.
This is like, it's like you played an episode back from last week. He hasn't changed one bit. He has no self-awareness. He hasn't grown 1 inch since 2015. He still says the exact same thing. Well, anyone with Opie hates me.
He's all about self-deflection. He's all about blame everybody else but me. I had nothing to do with this. I was the good guy, and everybody hates me because of Anthony. No, everybody hates you because you're a jerk off.
Because of you.
Exactly. So again, this is what people. There's got to be some kind of mental term for this in the psychiatric community. Somebody who just deflects everything, blames everybody else for their own shortcomings, refuses to acknowledge the truth, and stand up and be a better person for it. He will not do it. Sadly, he will not do it. He's had every opportunity to do it.
Yeah,
and I think
a lot handed to him.
Yeah, he's had so much time. It's been 20 years. There's been so much time for him to stand up and be a better person, grow from this, move on from this, and do something constructive and be liked. I'm not saying the guy cannot be. Everybody can be liked. So, how we got to this place where he is now, this dark, demented place where daily he's obviously losing his mind more and more as he's getting swallowed up by all the trollers and everything like that. I'm afraid he's never going to come out of this. I don't know what he can do at this point.
He's going to be Stuttering John 2.0.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. It's good for content.
It is. They got a whole show for months based off this.
No fucking relationship with. They all have to fucking hate me to be part of Anthony's thing. That's really strange to me.
Wow.
That is really strange. I would understand if it was someone that I have bad blood with and had a relationship, but I'm talking about guys I've never met.
So who hates you that has never met you?
Gavin's one of them. He obsessively fucking attacks me. I've never met the fucking guy.
Does he attack you on a personal level or professional level?
On a professional level.
Well, then it's nothing to do with knowing you.
He's reciting bullshit that is out there that Anthony had said on his own fucking show.
But if people,
I never met the fucking guy. Why is he obsessively hating on him? Why?
I don't know.
But I'm asking. But I'm legitimately, that's ridiculous.
Maybe he doesn't like you. In all honesty,
I've never met the fucking guy.
In all honesty, I have met him, and we've never discussed that. Like literally, I don't know. I've had my own weird run-in with Gavin. We talked it out. I called him. We talked for an hour. We argued on the phone.
Right.
Who do you know who they're talking about?
Yeah. Well, he's talking about Gavin McInnes, obviously.
McInnes. Okay.
McInnes, yeah. But has Opie never been on the internet? Does he not understand what the internet is? You can be hated for anything on the internet for any reason.
Oh, but I've never met them. Okay.
It's like he had just learned about trolls. You could literally tomorrow cure cancer, and there will be 1 million people that hate you for it on the internet. God, he's such a child. I can't. My head is exploding. I can't.
I don't understand. I've never met them.
Oh God.
Richard Pickney, thanks for the 5. Aunt gave Ben Opie's personal info. Ben was harassing Opie and threatened him with releasing a fake sex tape with his wife and Bam Margera. Aunt gave Ben Opie's personal info. I've never heard of this story.
You mean Ben Ratner? Ben was harassing Opie and threatened
Bam
him. Chrissie.
Margera?
I don't know of that one.
Dave.
I've never heard of
Yeah,
that one.
we're gonna have to fact check that one, Richard. Russell Hall, I wouldn't call Gavin a dick. Well, maybe a little.
Not the guy you want exactly running the HR department at your company, but
That
No.
was my first introduction to Gavin.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe you should have addressed it. Again, I can't speak to why Gavin doesn't like you. I don't know.
And I don't care that he doesn't like me, but it's weird when someone you've never met.
But why you, to me, to say that Ant manipulated that, or that to me is a little unfair. Like that's.
Oh, I mean, come on. There's way more than that. It's obviously manipulates the audience. You have to hate me to listen to Ant's show. It's so fucking obvious.
This is group
What?
of them.
It's so fucking obvious. So
You
Please.
have to hate me to listen to Ant's show?
now he's trying the whole self-loathing
Like,
thing.
loves me.
Oh,
Ooh.
you gotta hate me to listen to Anthony's show. Come on. God, get a hold of yourself. Pathetic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just don't get it.
Where's that
Not
come from?
everybody, is it?
There's a group.
Not
There's a group of
everyone.
that hates
It's a-
me, and you
Sure,
get
sure.
more of it. And I've said you get
I think
a lot more of
people.
it.
I think more
But I
people
get a lot
hate
of it.
me.
Huh?
A lot of
More
them
people
you too.
hate me.
Well, they fucking hate your laugh.
They do. No, they don't like Esther. They really do find Esther. And that's why I think a lot of them are full of shit. Because no matter who comes on the show, no matter who does well on this show, they start to hate. They started hating Dan Soder. They fuck Dan, but then when he does Big J show, they like him. So it's like a lot of times anyone who comes on this show, they start to hate. So you think I don't know that bullshit? But that's not Ant making that happen, dude.
Right.
And you think they don't hate me because you get more of it? They hate my fucking guts.
They hate everybody. Wait till the Property Brothers
They hate
come
my
in. They're
fucking
gonna
stand
really
up. They
Oh,
hate
God,
my
I don't know
fucking
when they're
guts.
scheduled.
They hate my guts.
That's
You don't
true.
think they do because you look for stuff about you just
I
like
mean-
Jim Norton looks for
I-
stuff about himself. I look for stuff about me.
I don't really look for stuff though.
Well, it pops up. You know,
It pops up.
of
You're right,
course,
but
that's
I'm
what
not.
saying.
I'm not looking at any of that shit.
I mean, maybe when
in
Gavin,
general.
when Gavin being like weird with you, like he just feels loyalty to his boss, you know, and it's just
yeah,
like
but it doesn't. Like
started
that's
before-
stupid. It doesn't have to
I
be
know
that.
it's
That's
so-
my
it's
whole
so
point. It doesn't have to be
stupid,
that
but
way.
That's how it is with like
We
know.
started the show as fucking brothers, and after 20 years, we were in a
Brothers.
shitty place. Yes, but why? But why not just move the fuck on?
Yeah,
It
Why
started.
not? When people bring up Anthony in the show in general, maybe sometimes I grit my teeth, but I go, I wish him nothing but the best, and I don't encourage people to fucking not listen.
you're
to him.
not the
And I
woman
don't
in
encourage-
Times Square who was punching him.
and I don't encourage.
But why are they blaming you? You know,
Huh? I don't know. I didn't get him fired.
right?
Didn't help either.
He hasn't taken
No.
responsibility
What
for any
were-
of that
what were you
shit. He
supposed-
blames everybody and everything.
What were you supposed to
He
do?
knows
Not
it.
have a show? You know?
And he knows that management was having some real fucking issues with him. He knows all that. Our agent was being called and all that crap. So it probably shouldn't have been a surprise to him. They didn't like all the racist fucking talk day in and day out.
Mm.
They didn't
Wow.
like a lot of the,
He sounds
that he was
the
taking a lot of fucking sick days. That had nothing to
A
do
lot
with
of
me.
sick
Nothing.
days.
So when he got fired, he shouldn't have been surprised. They were having discussions with him and our agent for a while about stuff. So then to turn around and blame me, that's fucking ridiculous. Take responsibility. You know you were in a weird fucking place.
But dude, you're saying something like they don't hate me, they just hate you, and it's like, are you crazy? They can't fucking make. You get more of it, you do, but I get a lot of fucking hatred from these people
All right.
who feel I'm a disloyal cunt and I'm a
Wow.
fucking piece of shit for being here.
Yeah.
You think I don't get that? Like, you don't read my fucking emails or the tweets I get? Come on, man. Again, you get more of it.
Well, a lot of people feel like, the obvious show is you and Anthony. So why aren't you doing that?
I mean, well, first of all, he
Because
didn't.
you guys absolutely still had the chemistry. When me and Anthony were extremely popular, it was because we had amazing fucking chemistry. And then when you came in,
It was
Right.
because it was before you came along, Jim, and you ruined it because you were better.
But at least he admitted the truth there. It shows you he knew it, but he refused to properly act upon the truth that he knew.
Mm-hmm.
And it caused this humongous rift. And Jimmy was right. There's always the sheer amount of haters that are out there for the whole O&A community had always had this insane amount of hatred in it. There were various message boards that people would go on just to spew hate, to the point of these people were canceling Anthony's brother's gigs because of
Wow.
all the places, and just because of his association with Anthony,
Crazy.
that he was racist, blah 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 blah, which was never true. And
Mhm.
the hate has always been out there, and it's very easy to see. Like
Yeah.
I get my. I'm sure if I look at my Twitter feed right now, I'm going to see some people calling me random stuff.
Uh-oh.
But you know what? I don't care. You call me whatever you want. Self-depreciating humor is one of my strengths, baby. So have
Mhm.
at me. But uh apparently Opie just could not take that. He would see it, and it would really affect him. And you got
Wow.
to learn to just kind of brush that stuff off and not care. They're just words. Say
Yeah, you
what
have
you
to
want
just not
about me.
care.
I'm the one sitting on top of the world who's making millions of dollars talking on the radio for a living.
Mhm.
What are
Yeah.
you doing? He was incapable of that, and
Sean,
still
the
is to this day.
producer, thanks for the $10. Opie's biggest problem wasn't Anthony. It was that Opie was always, I've heard this so many times. It was that Opie was always chasing Howard's fame and he could
Yeah.
never attain it, and it eats at him to this day. I mean, it explains why he had to get a house out in the Hamptons, just like Howard. It explains why his house on the Upper West Side, like I think, overlooks Howard's building, or one place Howard, has that residence at.
And it makes sense because look, Howard was the pinnacle. He was the one who took the entire shock jock thing to a place that nobody could attain. And if this was the one guy, this was the guy you were looking up to. This was your icon. You wanted his success, which was global. It wasn't only in this country. People knew who Howard Stern was in Japan and in England, and he was a massive force because of what he did. Sure, if I'm Opie and I'm in that position,
Mm,
I want that too. I'm working on the same radio station he was. Now that he's on satellite, I took over at K Rock, so I have some of his audience. I can grow like him.
mm,
But it was just he doesn't have what Howard had at the time. Now, different story. They may be on the
yeah.
same mental wavelength, but back
Ugh.
then, yeah, back
He
then,
should just
no.
been the best him he could be instead of trying to be like Howard.
And if he did that, he would still be successful to this day. I promise you that he would. He'd still be
Wow.
somewhere working for some Z100 or some New York station, like Scott Shannon or one of these things, because he had a name. He's got a great name for radio. He's got a great voice for
Yeah.
radio. Um, he could have done that, but he didn't. He wanted the success that they had during O&A. He wanted to keep that running, and he just couldn't do it.
He had a good name for radio?
Yeah, Opie. Opie's kind of I think is a good radio name. Opie. It's easy, it's short, it's simple. It rolls off on the commercials, the Greg Opie show, type thing. So I think it would have been fun. Look, he was in radio in Boston and New York, which were, two of the biggest markets in the country. So his name was out there. People
Mhm.
know, Opie. Either you think about the Opie kid from back in the 50s on the TV show, or you think of the radio guy. So he
Yeah,
had
there's not that many Opies.
no, it's not.
We all had amazing chemistry. By the end of the Opie and Anthony show, me and Anthony's chemistry was shit. But you guys still had really good chemistry, and that is out there. A lot of people wonder why you and him aren't doing a show together. It's a real question.
I understand that. I understand.
And then
that.
I hear you come in here, and it's my mood and this and that. I wouldn't do that.
You wouldn't do what?
I wouldn't come into a shitty situation day in and day out.
I didn't say it was a serious situation day in day out. And first of all, yes, you would, because you did for a long time. So don't say you would.
Well, that, yeah.
Come on.
Hold on. I will adjust. I felt trapped. Yes, I felt trapped and didn't know what the fuck to do. I started thinking the obvious thing, because there is a fan base to consider too, that if we would have split the show at the end of that contract, it would have been beautiful for everybody. And I think the company would have went for it. And I say it again, I never officially had a discussion like that with anybody. But in my own dumb head, I was thinking maybe that's the way to go. And then maybe we do a little radio together. Maybe if we only saw each other once in a while, that would be better. And maybe we could handle that. So I was thinking that. But in general, I feel like I come in here in a good mood.
What'd you say?
It's hard when you hear Opie talk, he mixes in truths with fabrications. It's hard to know what he actually did and that he didn't do and that he's making up. You don't know.
Yeah. He has a hard time being honest.
Mm-hmm.
mood, and I feel like we're doing good radio.
And maybe
The last couple weeks have been a little strange,
but I
don't know. I don't know why.
Strange.
I don't know. Well, like you said it. I don't look at you, and you don't look at me. So isn't that strange?
Half the times I come in the morning, I'll say, "Hey, everybody," and you either don't say anything, and maybe it's your hearing, but literally you don't say anything. I'm telling you, just my experience walking in the morning. Right. I walk in, and I don't know if you resent that I'm not here earlier, but that's not the way I perform.
No.
I'm okay, fine.
No.
But I
See
walk
how bad
in,
this was.
and I'll say good morning, or I'll go, hey, what's up, or good.
How bad? What?
You see how bad this was. It's not even about the in the studio problems. This is like you just walking into work in the morning. You can't even look at each other. You can't even say, "Hey, how you doing? What'd you do last night?" There was nothing there. There was no camaraderie at all, and they were forced to sit in a room with somebody who opposite of you hates you. A better man than me. That's rough.
Yeah, that's hard to hide. Russell Hall, thanks for the 2. You can call yourself any name on the radio. True. Yeah, I didn't know this whole stage name thing. Rhinoceros coming in, talking about the king of the chat with another pink boy. What man would ever be jealous of Stern, no matter the money? Stern is one of the gayest of the gay population. Even his wife admits Howard is old and used up.
Well, there's that whole thing of Howard and Ralph, and people talked. You don't know.
Back in the day, I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why people like Howard Stern, but he was iconic in a sense.
At the time, there was nothing ever like him on radio. I mean, Don Imus, which was the guy before Howard, was the beginning, I believe, from what I know of the quote unquote shock jock era, but he wasn't like Howard. Howard pushed limits. I mean, like he made NBC radio, which was one of the biggest in the country, like fall to its knees, as shown in his movie. When people say, why do the people listen to him who hate him? And he would get crazy ratings from people that hated him because they wanted to see what he'd say next. The same thing about the people that like him. They want to see what he'd say next. The average Howard listener listens for 2.5 hours because they want to see what he'll say next. He broke that, for lack of a better word, the glass ceiling of what a shock jock can say on national syndicated radio and fighting the FCC. He became a hero to a lot of people. And that, still, we'll never see that again. That whole era is gone.
And now look at him.
Good morning, ladies, or whatever dumb shit I say. And half the times you do not respond.
I feel the same way to you when you come in general. Like it's just really weird and awkward.
But I say hello every morning when I walk in. You're always here before me.
Right. I don't know. It just always seems just like not.
Do I say hello when I walk in?
No, it just feels very like almost not like almost forced. Almost
okay,
like,
so
here we are again. Hi, what's up?
Opie wanted
and I feel like I do say hello back more than 50%.
It sounds forced.
Opie wanted a hug. He wanted Jim to come in the morning and say, "Oh, come here, give me some, get in right here, right here, there you go."
Yeah,
come on.
He wanted a tongue kiss.
But if you're saying
the fact is, if you just said that, like. The guy walks in that you're working with every day and says hello. You think that I have a motive for saying hello that feels forced and awkward.
I think people just have different greeting styles.
But I mean, I'm just I'm honest with the way I feel when I walk in. I'm literally
Esther's the biggest victim in all this.
She was a trooper. She was definitely a trooper. Sitting there just mortified. As pale as Esther is to begin with, she had no blood left in her face after this at all.
No, she became more Asian after this.
Just saying good morning, hello, everybody, because you guys are all usually in mid-discussion about something, and you're acknowledging. I do acknowledge you a little more than 50% of the time. So don't. It's like, how do you not think that's odd?
But I don't do that to everybody else for some reason. That's where me and you are at.
Have so much time to say hello on the air.
I don't feel comfortable around you. I don't feel like,
but why?
Like you give a fuck about me.
Then why don't, again, when I called you 2 weeks ago and I go, or I text you, I'm like, is everything cool? And you're like, yeah, everything's cool.
And it was, and we discussed it. And then the last 4 weeks have been weird again. So I don't know why.
Well, maybe this one's on you, dude. Maybe you're feeling. You just said I feel like I don't give a fuck about you.
But it can't always be on me. You don't. You just are you trying to tell me you don't come in here with your own fucking moods?
Most of my moods have. Every time I walk in here in the morning, if I have a mood,
it's obvious to everyone. And I know you're going to say, "Well, fuck, it's obvious to everyone when you come in."
Yeah, that's the way it is.
But it's extremely obvious when you're in a mood.
But I can't think of the last time I walked in here in a lousy mood about something with the radio show. Anything that allows you in the mood is because I'm fucking dealing with contractors, or I almost lost a 10% deposit on something.
Yeah, but I don't know that, or anyone else doesn't know that.
Of course you know that. I did. Of course, I talked to you about it. Of course you did.
No, there are times, yes, because when push comes to shove, we will tell each other. Because I got into the habit of finally telling you, because I know my emotions are on my face. I go, look, I'm in a weird place. This happened last.
Opie's just trying to blame it on everyone but himself. And then when Jim is like, let's like talk about this. Let's sort of like roll this out here. He has no answers. Like when he's trying to suss it out, you know, like get examples, he just has nothing.
Self-deflecting. That's all he does. And you know, I work with many people over the years. You don't have to love the people that you work with. You are paid for employment for a job, but there's a level of professionalism that you should bring into an office. I'm not saying when I walk into work in the morning, I don't go up to all 20 people that work in my office and say good morning. But you know what? I'm cordial with everybody. I come to work with a smile. I try to uplift the office. And you know, I'll say, you know, good morning. How was your weekend? What'd you do? You know, you had that little banter, but it seems like even if Jimmy came in crapping rainbows, Opie was not going to have any of it. He wanted something more. He wanted some kind of man love or something. I don't know. He's making no sense.
No, because he's insecure. Because at the end of the day, he believes everyone likes Anthony better,
which they did. He was right on that. They did for that reason. Because of the bridges that he burned over the years, and that's all on him. If he wasn't such a douchebag to these people, for whatever reason, I know Anthony had mentioned something about there were times where I guess contracts were up, and he went to management and didn't stick up for these people or whatever. You know, again, these people had a legitimate reason to hate him for a reason. They just didn't come to work and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to hate on Opie today." No, he did something to these people. That's his own fault.
Thank you.
He made that bed.
For the 5. Yeah, sure, Howard Stern said some spicy things when it was cool, but you had a girl cram a stick up her butt and tossed rings at it. That's pioneering. This anal ring toss. Oh my gosh, one of my all-time favorite episodes of Wet Spot. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Remember it well.
Where is Peyton Sinclair? I hope she's doing okay.
Last night or whatever. So I started, telling you that type of thing.
But you just said when I walked in,
I don't agree that I feel like I say hi to you almost every morning. I really do.
I know you do.
Really
but I'm telling you as the person who experiences the lack of hello from you that you don't. I know. I mean, it's
feel like
odd
I say hi to
feeling,
you.
Right?
And then you're saying, well, when you walk in, I feel like it's this forced. Like, what are you talking?
Maybe your hello's like at a 2. We need to raise it to like an 8.
But or make it a 2.
Nice.
I don't think it's a 0.
I'll just be like, hi.
But
will that help?
it would be lovely once in a while.
Wait, but what about your goodbye?
You just said
Who cares about the greeting?
Here's what the problem is. You don't think I give a fuck about you. That's what it all comes down to. And a big part of it is because I do go on Ant's show and I am comfortable with him and I do have chemistry about him.
You're way more comfortable with him.
And you see that because he and I are more. I'll tell you what it is.
You're way more comfortable. Why can't you be comfortable with me? Ugh.
Yeah, because Opie, Jimmy and Anthony were legitimate friends.
Because guess what? Anthony doesn't only share 5% of his life. That when you're easy to get to know, when you talk about yourself, people want to gravitate to that. They want to be friends with someone like that.
Opie was being so cringy during this whole thing. It's such. I just see him as we need an AI made. You see how they're taking these AI models of shows and the babies look exactly like the characters on the show. We need somebody to do a baby Opie and just be crying in a schoolyard about not getting a hug from Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. This is a really smart comment. I'm not sure if Colin, you're a longtime fan or if you're just kind of picking up and observing like me. It sounds like he's trying to rationalize not valuing this Jimmy guy. What you say if the person you're dating asks why you're replying slower lately. Ooh.
That's true. That's a good look at it.
I don't know. You're not replying. You're replying slower lately. The one time that Opie admitted to being wrong was when he admitted to treating Ant's new girlfriend like shit. He literally began crying about it. He doesn't want to face his own mistakes. Ooh.
He'll never admit that he made a mistake.
Nope.
To him, in Opie's world, Opie is the greatest and the the one who deserves all the kudos and everything, and Anthony and everybody else deserve nothing. They did nothing in his eyes.
Crazy.
And this is where everything has got. You would see me and Ant, and having the way we do comedy or the way we perform. We're reaction performers. That's how we perform.
Right.
And then you're a guy who, I know you people say you steer the ship and you don't do it, but we understood the necessity. We are the ones who understood the necessity of fucking and defended that when people would attack you.
Right.
And you would get uncomfortable sometimes watching he and I, because you felt like you were watching two guys do something and you didn't feel like you were a part of it, and you resented it, and you didn't understand. Even you're the guy in the room, you didn't understand how you were a part of it.
That was I didn't resent it. I realized, oh boy, here we go. This show is ending as I know it. The chemistry was gone. You guys performed for each other, and that's how the show was.
But it wasn't just each other. It was. Opie, it was. I'm telling you, I like to get a laugh from everybody in the room.
Oh, I was laughing and stuff, but like I said, it was more me and Anthony. Our chemistry was fucking done.
But you're saying why I think
there might be a little resentment there. But
is it almost like he blames Jim for ruining their chemistry?
It's very possible. It all in his eyes, it all went the most downhill when Jimmy came aboard. He lost complete control because everybody liked Anthony and Jimmy better.
Whoa.
It was also more like, oh wow, okay, this has run its course, and it was becoming more and more obvious. And then and then he just so happened to get fired. But that show was coming to an end no matter what.
But it wasn't to me. It wasn't obvious. Like it wasn't obvious. Us being funny together because we perform a certain way as performers,
right?
As like Voss, who's a reactionary performer.
Right.
That's what he does. He's a fucking reactionary guy. Anthony's a reactionary performer. You know what I mean? He's a fucking guy who is a spit. He's funnier, and I'm funnier in situations where there's a bunch of people in the room.
Right.
He's not as funny saying, "Okay, I'm going to begin and end the show myself." I am not as funny like that, and I know that, dude. I know I'm not as funny going, "Hi, everybody, it's Jim Norton, and here's my take." I'm a fucking guy who, when the teacher turns around, I fucking throw something. That's what makes me funny. That's what makes him funny. It's a different type of humor. But I'm telling you, you would see us being funny like that.
But it's not a resentment thing. Maybe slightly, but it's
Okay, well,
more
then
that
maybe
the show was fucking changing.
Maybe slightly. Every time he says slightly, it means, yeah, that's the deal.
Jimmy nailed it right here. He's telling Opie exactly what I said, and now Opie's trying to backtrack it and say, maybe a little, but again, Jimmy's nailing it here hard.
Rhinoceros. Missy did nothing wrong unless closing a glow light is a crime. What? Thank you,
Missy.
Love Missy.
But how is it changing if we were getting laughs and being funny? Like, meaning you see that as a reaction against you, but it wasn't.
No, but it was obvious then at that point, you two probably should have moved on and continued doing a radio show together. But we all didn't know how to end that fucking thing. Because we all didn't know how to end that fucking thing. I was not a part of that show the last couple of years.
And in that, what you just said.
But that's the truth. But that's how I see it. I've been doing this since I was 18.
It's how you see it. You allowed criticism and fucking hatred from these people,
right,
to influence the way you saw yourself on the air.
No,
you did, because for you to resent that and not just be a part of it and enjoy it.
I enjoyed some days, but
it's true to this day, because he cannot do a live stream without obsessing over the chat. He's too obsessed with what people think of him. He can't just be.
He can't overlook people's opinions. He cares about every word they say about him. If he was able to overcome that and able to just put it out of his mind, he would be so much of a happier person.
Yeah, it's sad.
Very sad.
It was a different show that the show, honestly, and I joked about it to people, but the show absolutely passed me by in the end there. I was not a part of that show anymore in a way I knew I wanted to be. I know how to do this fucking radio thing. That version was done. And I was watching in front of my eyes. Honestly, you two probably, if we made it to the end of the contract and didn't get fired, what probably should have happened, you two should have moved on and done a show, here. And then I probably should have just started a new show, in another day part. Because I wasn't going to get it back.
That's exactly what I said. He knew it. He knew he should have went on, did his own thing. He would have had continued success in, I don't care, playing oldies on Light FM,
Mhm.
whatever. He would have been in his own thing. Then he would have dismissed himself from the O&A universe. He's got his own show, his own audience following
Yeah.
him, maybe adult contemporary, whatever. And then
Focus on unfunny things, like what he's good at. Yeah.
bingo. Bingo. He would have been successful, and then there would have been no vitriol against him. What are people going to say? Oh, look at Opie. He's got a nice job and he's spinning records. And what are they going to hate on?
Right, right.
You know?
There's just no way he was gonna match them on that level. They're
No.
just, they're
No.
completely out of his league in that regard, and he just it stifled him
That's,
completely.
I think, the main reason why he didn't do it. He knows that if Jimmy and Anthony would have done a show together, he would have been just an afterthought. He would have been obliterated by the fans, by the ratings, whatever they were on. He was not going to match up to that. And he knew it, and he decided to instead just back away, go into hiding, live off the money that he made on the XM contract. And I don't know what really brought him out. I guess the people, Anthony's books and stuff like that, bringing him back and all the backstories coming out over the years. But let's say that didn't happen and Anthony didn't write the books. He would probably still be in seclusion. We would have probably never heard from him again until the money ran out.
Wow.
Can't be cheap having a Hamptons house and leasing an apartment up in New York City. Eventually, that cash cab has got to get low.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going to force myself and go, hey, guys, I'm still here. How do I work myself back into this? The thing changed in a way which was okay. It was still popular and it was still getting laughs. Trust me. But I was done as far as that version of the show goes. It was obvious to so many people.
Wow.
But
this new version of the show I enjoy doing, and this version is working.
But you say it was obvious to so many people. Was it like the NEW days where it was more of a triangle of a show? Of course, it was obvious because so much stuff had happened. Because neither one of you guys had so much personal stuff that had happened, and it built up on both sides, and that affected it.
Sure.
But you would look at me and him joking because we didn't have that necessarily that the history that you guys had,
right?
And you would look at it, and I know it would, because I would watch you sometimes, and it was almost like you felt like you weren't a part of it, and you didn't understand. It's like, how is he not realizing?
Completely understood. That's what I'm trying to say. But I felt trapped. Like it's obvious I need to move on and do something new and different because this show and these guys are doing well. The show is successful. They're getting huge laughs. But I absolutely felt trapped. I'm like, this is not my show anymore. Because this is not
wow
what I did.
Yeah, he lost control.
He did. Poor Esther is looking at her assistant right now saying, what the fuck did you do to me? But
she's like, I'm just gonna jump out of the window at this point. See if they notice.
Oh my God. This whole thing went on for what? It was an hour and 42 minutes long. This whole argument. It's unbelievable. I mean, put yourself in the position of each of them. How do you think you would have handled it in their position? And forget about the money and the contracts, but just this.
It's hard for Jim because he can't even call a spade because if he pisses Opie off even further, it's going to be even more tense and bad working conditions for him. But they've got to talk about it. So yeah, he is kind of trapped there.
I don't ever remember a radio duo having an on-air argument like this. I know, one of the more famous radio people, Mike and the Mad Dog, which was on WFN radio. They were the sports drive time guys. They had on-air arguments, but not like this. This is a whole different psychiatric realm going on here between these two. They're Jimmy's being protecting and wants to learn and wants to correct and wants to help the situation. Opie's deflecting everything, throwing little daggers at him, and then putting up his shield for anything Jimmy throws back. It's like they're playing World of Warcraft in front of us is what they're freaking doing. It's insanity.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
And I think this last chunk that we listened to really sums up Opie's mental space perfectly.
100%.
He felt left out by the banter. He felt left behind because he was not as funny, couldn't keep up. I mean, he shouldn't. He just didn't know what to do. He just was like, damn, because it is like I've been on shows. I've done Anthony's shows. I think when Jim was on, I've done Chip. I've done Chip when Anthony's been on. Like it's there. It's a marvel. It's you
Mhm.
want to just sit back and be like, let the masters do their thing. Like it's
Right.
just they're amazing. But if you're feeling like, oh yeah, I'm an equal to these guys and I can't keep up, how that must really haunt you.
Their comedic styles and their ability to work off each other is on a different level. If you're on a show with them, and again, I've obviously I've never been on a show with them, but my opinion, my thought would be that you've got to let them drive, and you can't try to interject yourself into any point in the show. You just got to kind of let it happen. Be
Mhm.
yourself and let it happen because
Yeah.
they work off each other so well.
Yeah.
It's sort of like like each one is in a tennis match. They're hitting the ball back and forth,
Oh,
and
yeah, and the
you're the
best
ball boy.
yes, you're the ball boy, and be a good
Yeah,
ball boy, okay?
exactly, exactly. And you have that sense where you're able to go and sit in on any show, and with your ability to work and work your way into the show and have people laugh, that's what you do. You have that gift. Comics have that gift to be able to do that, most of them. But Opie was not a comic. He just was not. He was not a funny individual. He tried to force things when they weren't funny. It's like he would think of something in his head and he's like, all right, I got something. I'm gonna hit you with it. And then he would hit you with it, and it was just a stinker. And he's like, oh, what do I do now? And that's the way it felt to me.
Mhm.
It was fake. He tried too hard, perhaps, instead of letting it flow, because he felt like if he didn't interject himself, he would have been forgotten. You'd never hear from him. He didn't have to
Oh,
talk.
yeah.
These guys were running with it. It was the van was driving down the road at 100 miles
Mhm.
an hour, and here's Opie on the side trying to hitchhike.
He's
That's
running behind it like,
basically, yeah.
"Help, let me in."
He was Sandra Bullock in Speed trying to get on the bus. So that's
Mhm.
basically what it was, and
It's sad. Yeah,
it's very sad. This is why I don't hate him. I feel for him because if I put myself in his shoes again,
but, like,
mm,
dude, if you're him, what would I do in his position? I don't know, take a fucking improv class, do something. If you feel like you're lacking in that area skill-wise, you could take improv, you could, I don't know, d do some things that would help, like, foster whatever funny you have inside
that
you.
that's a good question to him would be is
Mhm.
it the fact that these guys had that comedic sense that made you jealous? Where did your jealousy come from? Was it the fact that you couldn't whip a joke out like Robin Williams, just
Mhm.
bam, and then it would make people laugh? Or was it just the fact that people liked them more because you're so vain in all the haters coming to you, that the hate that you would read, that you just liked that people liked them more? Where was
Yeah.
that break?
And you're so afraid of revealing yourself, sharing your life with your audience. It's like it's cyclical. It's like you're not honest with people. The viewers and listeners can pick up on that, and
Mhm.
therefore they give you shit for it. And then you're like, "Well, they're giving me shit. They're being mean to me. Why would I share my life with these people? They're just going to be critical and come after
And
me and my family." And
I
it's like,
I don't blame him fully for that either, because you don't know how much of that came from his family, from his wife and stuff like that, not
mhm,
wanting to have their private life put out there. I know, his idol Stern took a whole bunch of shit when he would talk about his wife Allison growing up and the miscarriages and stuff like that they had. But this was his idol. Maybe he wanted to do that and she wouldn't let him do that. I don't know where the break in the chain was, but there were multiple ways. Maybe it was everything. Maybe everything compounded into one thing, and that's why he clammed up.
yeah.
I don't know. We got to get Dr. Freud on this. You got to put him on
Right.
a couch. Somebody get the
A
steno
all
pad
these
out.
things have built up over 20 years, and now look, he's unleashed. It's exploded into the streets of New York City.
And this is all he's got. I mean, this is unleashed, just going up
Mhm.
to some random mimer and trying to poke fun at what what is he even doing? I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it
Nobody
now. Damn it!
knows.
Now tomorrow I'm gonna have to watch one of these things.
Captain Forever for 5. Opie's so thin-skinned that he wasn't allowed to read the live feedback during the show because he would lose it during breaks from fans trolling him. Everything you guys are saying is supporting what we are,
Yeah.
our hypothesis here. Rhinoceros, anyone got any envelopes? My God, it's 12:30. I really wanted to get through this, and I've taken up so much of your time, Chris. I'm
Oh,
gonna have to do a
please.
part 2 on this. I really
I mean, you're really breaking it down. We're breaking it down to levels of like every 30 words.
Chris,
We're
you're gonna
breaking
have to
it.
come back for I can't do this without you. We're gonna have to do a part 2 together.
Okay, I'm down whenever you want. You let me
The
know.
chat loves you. This is a good thing.
I love the chat. You
all
guys
right.
are great.
We'll have to join us again for part 2 of this. Everyone remember, we're at 50 minutes here. Okay, so like halfway through. All right.
Roger that.
Thank you to chat, and we will see you next time.